Wallop, we're in. We're back.
We're in.
It's all going off. How you doing? I'm all right. I've had computer woes this week. People love it when I have computer woes. It's not as bad as that time we did the birthday stream and like everything just sort of caught fire.
I think the music's quite loud.
Oh really?
Yes.
It shouldn't be. It hasn't changed. It's the same as it was last week. It's minus 29.7 decibels.
Well, I just people will tell us, I'm sure, but I just went in and it was louder than us. So
well, what a way to end our partnership. I've loved working for you for years, but I can't speak to you again after. Hey everybody, look at Duncan's background. Look at Duncan's Bondi background, and I'm very much liking your thematic approach this week. I'm well into it.
I'm just very lazy, and
just very.
Whereas you set up lights and everything, I just sort of download
I have nothing better to do. That's why we've been over this, Duncan. I've just got nothing better to do. So this is a weird twofer. We're having a kind of Goldeneye celebration, really, because first it won the poll. Duncan tried his best to make you lot vote for Judge Dredd 95, which was a huge failure. I'm very glad to say, because I fucking don't want to watch that again. But you know, you fought a good battle on Patreon. I think your pitch was very good. It made me laugh anyway, in a sort of like, if he says anything about Waitrose music, I'm going to fucking put a bullet between his eyes kind of way. That's what I thought. Yeah, but Goldeneye won. First Bond chat on this channel.
Yeah.
Apart, if you don't count like talking about No Time to Die's delays and things.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, first Bond chat, so that's quite exciting. And then we're going to play the leaked. If you're not aware, I mentioned it last week, there's a leaked Xbox Live version of GoldenEye the game. And we're going to play a bit of that afterwards, which is going to be a bit... Duncan's going to have to watch remotely and chime in, but I think you're just quite interested and excited to see what that's all about, aren't you? And see that game and stuff, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, it's going to be good. I think we're going to kick off a little bit early because we've got a long film, and then we're doing a game afterwards, which is unusual, and there's also been a technical challenge. So we're gonna start about 7:15 was the idea, if that's all right for everybody. So get your copy of GoldenEye ready for 7:15 blast off. Like the rocket and the silo level of the game GoldenEye 007, which I have been playing. It's cool, man. It's really cool. I think you're gonna like.
Yeah.
You're gonna like it. It's just a graphical reskin, so it plays exactly the same. You know, it handles the same. You've got to do it on an Xbox pad, obviously, because it's not an N64 thing. But yeah, it looks very good. It looks very shiny. And the theory is, you know, we could play split screen at more than 4 frames a second without, you know, a window the size of a postage stamp filled with fog.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite exciting.
I know, because I mean, years ago, I remember trying to play it through a modern television, and it was just like headache inducing, and weird. And you sort of thought, how did we think this was normal?
It is incredible because if you play it 4 players, the frame rate drops. And we were playing it on. I remember playing 4 players a lot on a 14-inch CRT TV. So aside from the fact that, you know, it was tiny, it was sluggish and everything.
Yeah. I've just been checking the version we're about to watch because I wanted to make sure. I think it is the cut version.
Okay.
There's certain aspects, like, because there's a bit where Natalia tries to smash Xenia around the face with a log, and she headbutts her, but she doesn't in this cut.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, the BBFC hating headbutts, which has been a kind of
yeah. So just so that you're all aware, you have the slightly different versions. So there are other things I think that are sort of slightly different. So it may go out of sync, but there you go.
You know, no, don't worry, it's fine. Yeah, this is your time to shine.
No time to shine.
No time to shine. Yeah. You were supposed to run with my energy, but that did not. You just like, yeah.
Sorry, I'm very tired.
It's all right. You've got a real fucking. As everybody knows, Duncan comes on like at 6:59 usually because you've got stuff to do, right? So
yeah, we're just feeding baby dinner and trying to eat dinner ourselves, and then get all tidied up so that I'm not leaving my wife with all the washing up and the baby and everything and running off to talk about silly stuff on the internet.
Talk about poos and wees. That we do get paid to talk about poos and wees.
That's true.
Those are the facts. That's just the facts.
those crazy YouTube dollars. They just.
Sorry, speaking of which, James Liddell gave £5 before we even started.
Oh wow!
Evening chats of Val Verde. We'd like to nominate Duncan to narrate the whole of his movie. And we would like to nominate. Oh fuck! Oh, I've had a long week. Evening chaps. The good citizens of Val Verde would like to nominate Duncan to narrate the whole movie in his Alan Partridge voice. There you go. And because this link has been up all day, because it's like a scheduled stream. What's going on? There was some money in here when I turned up. There's some revenue in the chat which I couldn't trace. So there was a mysterious £3.37. So please make yourself known if you were the dropper of the 337. It sounds like a sort
the dropper of the 337 sounds like a 9TV.
I thought a tragic aviation disaster, but okay. Yeah, no, I'm not really helping the tone there with my talk of tragic aviation disasters, but never mind. You notice Duncan's gone in for a Bondy background, which I think I already said.
I have.
Has my brain just turned to shit? I think it might have done.
I think mine definitely has. There's no two ways about it. I am definitely falling apart today. Today's been a weird.
But that's not our energy. It is totally our energy. I'm trying to pretend it's not our energy, but it's completely our energy. It's just like, oh fuck, broken sleep deprived man energy in stereo this week. So that's fun.
Here's a story that I can tell you all about. This sort of relates to Goldeneye. So I don't really talk about my private life too much, but when naming our daughter, we were going through a load of names, and one name that my wife really liked, and I really like as well, is Natalia. But I was like, we can't call her that because everyone's going to say you named your daughter after a Bond girl, you loser.
Right.
And without saying what we then landed on another name that we really liked that didn't seem to have any sticking points, and then that name has also transpired, of course, to be a Bond girl name that never occurred to me, which doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But there you go. So
ultimately, they settled on Honor Blackman Casey, which we all thought was weird. Oh no, I doxed Honor Blackman Casey. Oh no, she just passed away, so it seemed apt, to sort of bring her back through the naming of your baby. Totally true thing that happened, guys. Like most things on this stream, true thing that happened.
Indeed.
For everyone's informations, I'm coming back on Saturday night with Mark Price, director of the Brit zombie flick Colin, and we're going to watch Dawn of the Dead. And there will be no vote. This is no democracy. This is you being dictated at by us. But the bonus stream will be myself and Duncan. Myself and Mark talk about Dawn of the Dead. That's Saturday night. Same bat time, same bat channel as they once said in the 1960s. So.
I'm sorry, I'm just logging into our. By the way, I'm not trying not to be rude, but I'm just trying to log into our bloody PayPal, and then it's like confirm using the app, and then now I'm ticking fucking fire hydrants and boats and shit. Right. So just give me a minute.
I am not a robot. Yeah. Tick all the boxes with milk.
Bring milk.
You have to pour milk into your phone. I heard that was a new iPhone feature. You just drizzle milk into the stereo jack or whatever. It doesn't have one. Jack. Also, it's milk resistant, so you can't possibly prove it's your PayPal account. What a disaster! Oh, Wincoin Exchange gives £5. Evening, fellas. Did either of you see the Spy Who Loved Me mod for Goldeneye on N64? It's on YouTube. I did. Yeah, I don't know if you know it, Duncan, but there's a Spy Who Loved Me mod, and there's a there's a couple. Yeah, that people have done story mode Goldeneye mods, which is really neat.
How cool is that?
Because you can run. What I found is you can emulate. If you emulate Goldeneye on a modern PC, you can run it in like full HD and have all that, but it's still kind of janky to control and a bit weird. Whereas this new version that I don't want to say out, the new version that exists now, has it mapped to a pad and stuff, and that's all great. But yeah, it's cool. And I also saw somebody who's made the first level from Mario 64 into a GoldenEye level, so you're like walking around shooting Koopas and stuff, which is quite cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
So we've got a few things in the paid pal. Andrew Caput sent us £10 and a message for once, which is lovely. Thank you, Andrew. He says, "Hello, boy." I mean, brevity is clearly his strong suit. He says, "Hello, boys. Favourite Bond song?"
I really like the GoldenEye song. I'm such a basic bitch. Like most of my Bond stuff revolves around GoldenEye in one way or another, but I really like the GoldenEye theme. Isn't it like
nice.
You'll know, but isn't it written by the Edge or something?
Bono and the Edge. Yeah, Bono and the Edge. Yeah. No, Goldeneye's a belter. Yes, I mean that's up there. Probably my favourite Bond song is "Surrender" by K.D. Lang, which was supposed to be the "Tomorrow Never Dies" main theme, and ended up getting shunted to the end credits, even though it's because it was written by David Arnold and her, and was really great, and they ditched it at the last minute to use, Sheryl Crow because they're happening like that. Right. But I think actually Surrender is a much better song, and it fits, and it's obviously because it's woven into the score as well, so it's all throughout. There's this theme, and you're kind of thinking, what is that? Because it's not the main theme. Same thing happened with Quantum of Solace. There was one that Shirley Bassey actually did a song for that, and that's that's woven into the score. It's called No Good About Goodbye. It's the sort of like da 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 da, and it's all throughout the score. And again, got ditched last minute for Jack Whitehall and Alicia Keys, which is weird. So it's and that's not even anywhere near the film, but I mean, you would think if you got Shirley Bassey back, you'd be all over it.
Well, this, my friends, is why we have Duncan here. That's great. That's good.
Sorry,
it's normally me going, Star Trek or whatever. So it's good to have. I like "Live and Let Die" by Paul McCartney. That's awesome. But like everybody else, you just don't want, the breakdown in the middle. You don't want that. You just want the whole song to be da-na-na, da-na-na. What was the Duran Duran one?
Yeah. What does it matter to you?
Yeah.
Duran Duran is Duran Duran did A View to a Kill,
right?
And then was it Aha? No, Aha did Living Daylight,
right? Okay.
And Duran Duran did A View to a Kill.
Damn, they got some net because what was it? Was it Skyfall? Was Adele?
Adele, first Oscar-winning Bond song.
Really?
First Oscar win, I think. I think they've won for like set design and stuff. I can't remember.
Okay.
But and then Sam Smith won for Spectre, which was a bit. Right? Is that just because you just copy and pasted from the year prior?
Right.
And or the whatever few years prior. We've received £3.50 from Sam Dewberry. For that is his name. Given name.
Sam, Duncan's decided you're Dewberry. I can't help it. It's beyond all of our reaches. I'm sorry.
He says, "Hi all. May I have a shout out for my birthday on Monday?" Yes, you may indeed.
Sam Duxbury's birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Us sending you £3.50. He says, "Not a huge donation tonight as I spent £50 getting ingredients for Klingon blood wine."
Oh, yes.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. I can't remember if I tweeted out the one I found. I don't know if that's probably just coincidence. Klingon blood wine is a drink from Star Trek, and Klingons drink it, so it's really, really strong. And there are loads of recipes, and a lot of them are mental. It's kind of like wine, cranberry juice, vodka, brandy, Tabasco sauce, chilies. Like it's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's exciting. That's a good birthday drink. The kind of birthday drink that causes you to not remember your birthday
on a Monday.
Well, lockdown. It's all the same, my friend. It's all the same.
It's true.
Shall we? It's quarter past. Should we crack on?
Okay. Just very quickly before we do that, Annalise Mosland also sent £5. Says, "Evening, guys. Bit disappointed we're not watching the cinematic masterpiece Judge Dredd. I agree, but looking forward to the stream all the same." Smiley face.
Boo. That's what I say.
Oh, and we just got. Hang on.
Oh, another one. God, you generous lot. Thank you.
Got another one. Yeah. Bear with. Because it's slow. Simon Callahan.
Oh.
Callahan, get in here. He says, "I really wish I had a witty comment. I'm not sure how this works."
That is my very, very good friend, Simon Callahan, who I've talked to you about before.
Oh, right.
That's my actual real mate, and he sent us money. Sucker, dickhead, got your money now. I mean, we would, we recently drank in a park together because it's the only way we're allowed to meet up. Which was very, Duncan's face is amazing. It's the only correct face is, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Hey, look, we haven't seen each other in a while, and we had a little drink in a park on a bench. Oh yeah, that's right, like fucking tramps, but socially distanced. We're not insane. It was
what a monster.
It was within our state mandated hour of exercise, so it's whether or not you call it exercise, I think, is the issue.
Very good.
So should we crack on? 145 people in. Hey guys. So like I said, gaming stream afterwards. Duncan and I are going to see some of the Goldeneye leaked remaster stuff. So that's exciting. So yeah, everybody get your Goldeneye. Yeah.
Yes, Goldeneye. I remember it well. Martin Campbell. He just rings us with Martin Campbell, Sean Bean.
It's kind of like the
Alan
opposite of
coming,
the.
I can keep going. Please interrupt me at any time. Oh, there's no one here. That was the problem with his commentary, wasn't it? There's just no one there to say it. So he's like,
oh no. It's kind of the opposite of the Schwarzenegger
silence.
thing, where Schwarzenegger just describes the events that are occurring on the screen.
Yeah.
Whereas Pierce describes none of the events that are occurring on the screen. Whether or not that's a good thing is hard to say. I'm just going to check. I've had some issues with my PC, which is what I opened the stream with. And I'm just going to make sure that my copy's running. I've just said everybody has to watch it now, but it's just like, let's just make sure that I can watch it. That could be an issue.
Would be ideal.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's you okay?
Yeah, I know. I think I am.
It's that awesome professionalism that we're known for.
Yeah.
Right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Since the man, because you do look like James Bond. James Bond in a Zoom meeting. I assume when he speaks to MI6, he gets a gun barrel background and stuff. So people can't see how messy his flat is. And you're like Bond's in his cardigan because it's the evening and he's not working. You know what I mean? But they've made him call in.
I'm wearing my Omega Seamaster in honor of Goldeneye. This is the.
I meant to ask
appropriate
because you'll see in the remaster. But when you remember in the game when he looks at the watch, is that the Omega Seamaster?
Yeah. I remember in the original game they sort of approximated it. It wasn't quite right, but I
dare say for legal reasons they've perhaps done the same for the remaster because it's a way more detailed watch now. And I was kind of like, okay, Duncan's going to want to have a talk about that. I think you've replicated the game menu.
Yeah, I'll replicate the game menu.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, who be ready? Yeah, I'll let you count in. I feel like we're on your turf today.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Ready? Here we go then. Well, I guess we'll have to count backwards from 7, won't we?
Oh.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Goldeneye.
Go.
Goldeneye. So this is I've played the game. I played the game so many times, and they because I was obsessed with it just as a game. And they really did good business replicating the film. Like the locales are all kind of right, and the ones that take place in the film and stuff. So I feel like really intimately familiar with the layout of the facilities in the movie and stuff. And
yeah, can I just yeah, I'll tell you what. The gun barrel, like Pierce's gun barrels, were the best. As far as I'm concerned, like they actually did that 3D thing with the shimmer effect on it and everything, and it looked cool. He looked cool. He got it all right. All the more recent ones, when they sort of, deign to actually put them in the film, it's like really static and boring and doesn't move. And it's like the old ones where it's just an 2D image sort of moving across. And I don't know why they do that.
Because I can't say I've noticed. Not that I would be the person to notice. Is that because they're trying to get that older feel with Craig? It always felt to me with Craig that was always like a kind of. They were looking back
because they did that for. Well, they did that thing with Casino Royale. They did that. They did that insane, like really cool gun barrel thing of sort of showing you what the gun barrel was essentially, which was his first kill. So it was like the idea being it was the gun barrel of the guy who he did the first kill on, and he spun around and killed him before he could shoot. And that I always thought was quite cool, and that was like a proper like 3D. That was completely redesigned. But then as you say, that the other ones have always had this kind of retro. Let's try and look cool and retro-y, and I don't know, it's like a hipster designed it. Sort of. Right,
yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's you've done that more elegantly than I did. I think I could have just said a hipster thing, that it's trying to go backwards. That gun barrel looked really, really great with all the kind of shimmers and things. It looked expensive as well. That's the other thing, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It looked. I just think it's like the perfect gun barrel. I think he only ever did one because they just reused it for all of his films. I know in Die Another Day they added that horrendous bullet down the barrel. Right. But yeah, Christopher Tregenna sent us I think he sent us £2, but we ended up with 164 because he paid for a service, so we got done for 36p. Right. Says, hi guys, keep up the good work. Wanted to inform you about the new Nick Cage film coming out called Willy's Wonderland, where he battles against a giant robot ostrich. I'm not kidding.
I love just people. Every time someone tells you the new Nicolas Cage premise, it feels like they may have made it up. It's fantastic. I love it. Super chat from Cade Fisher as well. What are your guys' expectations or predictions for No Time to Die?
Just before you hang on, Logan Owick sent us £20 on PayPal as well with no. I just thought I should get that out of the way because it's a very generous donation.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Cade says 156 people in. Hey guys, Cade says, "What's your predictions for No Time to Die?" I mean, I don't really have any, so I think perhaps it's better off for you. I did see Spectre, but I only saw it once, and it's not very present in my mind, so I don't really know where the Craig Bond story is going.
Really. When you say predictions, what do you mean predictions for what? How well it'll do? What the story is? What?
I don't know. If you want to give an overview, I guess that would cover it. I suppose.
What, like the story?
Yeah, sure, why not? Sure, why not?
I don't know. All I know is what's in the trailer, and I don't know any more than anyone else does. I mean, you mean what I guess he wants me to say is, do I think he's going to die, or do I think they're going to have an illegitimate son or daughter? I really don't know, and such things are kind of. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot. We haven't been given much. I'm sure that's the game they're trying to play, but I don't feel like we've been given very much. I don't think the trailers reveal a hell of a lot. Again, I don't think they reveal a lot plot-wise, but they reveal a lot of sort of. You can always get the sense of the way the plot goes, and I think because we've then had sort of TV spots and stuff leading up to releases that then didn't happen, we were given quite a lot of footage. It's just not particularly clear as to what any of it means or anything, but
006 really does execute that scientist who was just doing his job, doesn't he?
I know.
I forgot that completely. I really like Sean. I love Sean Bean as like an anti-Bond, because he's not at the moment, but it's quite nice to see another agent doing the same thing, and then he kind of becomes, because they have parallels, right, in terms of their backgrounds and stuff, like being orphaned and whatever, and
yeah, he was considered for Bond at one point, I believe. And I think he might have screen tested for it. So I guess
you bastard.
I know, yeah. You bastard. One does not simply become Bond. Yeah, no. So I mean, obviously, I guess he was present in their mind. But yeah, he's much better off as this sort of Bond. He's like an anti-Bond. He's sort of got that. He's perfect for this role, and yeah, there's something edgy about him right from the get-go. And like you say, he just waltzes in and assassinates a scientist. There's a bit of inconsistency here, though, because obviously Oromov supposedly executes him. I've never understood how, because
yes, and that burns his face.
Well, no, that doesn't. That's
what I mean, because the gas bottle burns his face. But it's like, shouldn't he also have a fucking bullet hole in him or something?
My point being is like, yeah, okay, so he put blanks in it, but. It's not, the reason he's got a burnt face is because Bond sets the timers for 3 minutes.
He left me behind
so he never got out. Yeah, he didn't get out in time. But he sort of shoots him point blank, and all right, you could say that was a blank, and all right, blanks are dangerous at point blank, but whatever. But then he shoots like one of his own guards at one point after that,
right?
And you're like, did you load a very specific number of bullets with like one blank in there? So you
3 shots. So if I shoot one before I get to the bottling room, and the next one's the blank one, and
it's like all this insanely elaborate ruse. But yeah, 006's thing is that his parents were Lienz Cossacks or whatever, with the Russian defectors, weren't they? Who were then betrayed and sent back to Stalin, who shot them all. So. And his parents weren't, his parents weren't, but his dad couldn't live with the shame or something and killed himself. So yeah, but like you say, they're both orphans and orphans of the war in essence. I mean, this is still clinging on to just about being believable with that, it's Cold War era, or it's just coming out of Cold War era stuff, whereas, but in the 90s, that was only just because the wall had gone down and everything. It was like, well,
isn't this where M calls him a dinosaur?
Yeah, a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
Right, and a Cold War relic. Is that this movie as well? I'm really right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you're here. It's useful.
Yeah.
This is a great intro for Bond as well. I like as a new Bond, because I've always thought Pierce Brosnan was just like awesome as Bond. It's such a great casting, and this is a great intro because it's quite, it's not kind of like splitting the difference between this and the kind of Roger Moore type thing. And I know we had obviously Simon Skinner before. I've given his Hot Fuzz name, so I've forgotten his name for some reason. Timothy Dalton. Yeah, it's kind of splitting the difference between the very kind of quite dark, nasty version, and then this is kind of not all that, but not really silly. And some really, we see another agent die straight away and everything, but he still gets to do his da 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 and get in the plane and everything.
Yeah, well, that was. I mean, I think for me the thing, because we both said this was our first sort of touch point with Bond in terms of like a modern, like for our time, rather than it being this old thing. Mm-hmm. And that, I think that moment there where he like jumped on the conveyor belt and shot all the barrel, and all the barrels came flying out. I was like, oh, that's what James Bond is about. You know what I mean? Being really cool. But it's interesting that Martin Campbell does that in both his films, because he sort of does that in Casino Royale as well. Like that's how Bond gets out of the thingy embassy at the start. Like he has the guy and he ends up he shoots a barrel, because there's always an exploding barrel. Yeah. And gets away that way, and it's kind of like similar sort of standoff and everything. It's a bit weird, but yeah, I think a lot of people now, especially in hindsight, often say that this is like their favorite Bond film, like it's the kind of go-to example of what a Bond film is or should be. It's kind of, I think it's got everything, and it does go dark and it does go light, and some people have criticized it for that, but it's like, I think what it does is it gives you enough of a playground to play in that allows you to be one and the other. This is a believable universe where fantastical things happen, like this is about to, and he drives off the end of a runway and catches up with an airplane and gets it, but you sort of don't care. Whereas if Daniel Craig did that, you'd be like, oh, pff.
Yeah, right,
because you're supposed to believe in everything in it, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, well,
a different tone. Really great opticals and stuff here. It's fucking awesome, like the whole plane dive. Really
loads of miniatures. Well, there's some really great miniatures, and although that's presumably a full-size plane that someone's just
crashed. But yeah. No, Cade Fisher. Yeah. Cade Fisher gave $20 and clarified. Thank you very much, Cade. That's very, very generous. Apologies. Do you think it'll incorporate older Bond stuff from the older films, like a previous villain, similar to Blofeld coming back? Usually Misty streams through to my graveyard shift. Keep up the good work. So yeah, he's talking about, because I know I think you told me it might be that Freddie Mercury is playing Dr. No, or a version of Dr. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, Blofeld is back, so that's one thing. Like they have actually brought him back in this, but yeah, I mean that's the theory, isn't it? That Rami Malek is Dr. No. He looks very Dr. No. There's lots of things in the set design as well, like in the background, that suggest that it's him. There's a still, I think, of him in a set where it's exactly like in Dr. No. There's this really great set where Professor Dent goes to meet with Dr. No, he's just a big booming voice in the room, and in the room is this tarantula in a cage that he picks up, and he's supposed to use that to kill James Bond. Don't kill people. People do.
Yeah, it's true.
Tarantulas don't kill
it's
people.
The NTA, the National Tarantula Association, insists that the only way to beat a bad guy with a tarantula is a good guy with a tarantula.
My cold dead hands. But yeah, so what was I bloody talking about? Oh yeah, so that set has a very distinct like window in the roof that's like a cage, like it's got bars on it in a cross pattern that shine a very distinct light, and it's a very very sort of distinctive set. Anyway, they've kind of replicated that. I think you see Rami Malek in a very similar set in a picture. So I mean, there's a lot to suggest that he is. But yeah.
Well, off the back of that, these are coming in thick and fast. Zachary Antle gives $5. Thank you very much, Zachary. This is interesting because if it was any other series, if it was a series I watched, I might be able to answer more. Because I'm a photography nerd, I'm curious, which Bond film do you think looks best and worst? For me, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Sorry Roger, looks best, and The World Is Not Enough looks worst. So in terms of photography, again, because I don't know. So in terms of photography, what's your best looking Bond movie and your worst looking Bond movie?
I think in terms of the best, probably Skyfall, I think, is up there, but then it obviously has a very much more modern sensibility.
Deakins, yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have to go with Skyfall. Although I think that's unfair because I do think On Her Majesty's Secret Service is a great looking film, and I do think a lot of the earlier stuff. Doctor No, see, I really reappraised Doctor No recently by watching it. I sat with my daughter and watched it a few weeks ago.
Getting it started early.
Yeah, no, yes, exactly. And that's a great looking film, and it's actually really it's a really great film to just sit and sort of absorb. So yeah, but at worst, I mean, I see where you're coming from on The World Is Not Enough. It is very televisually shot, and it's certainly in the watching it now in hindsight, it's a very sort of blandly lit film. But I would have to say something like For Your Eyes Only, I find a bit Octopussy as well. Octopussy is staged nicely, but I don't think it's I don't know if it's a film stock they used or what, but it doesn't have the same sort of filmic quality as something like Spy Who Loved Me, or even Man with the Golden Gun had a certain sort of filmic quality to it. Some of those later Roger didn't have quite the look, I don't think, but it's all in the kind of, it's all subjective as well, I think, to a degree.
I meant to ask, actually, again, something. This is a really nuts and bolts, probably quite dreary question.
Beep boop.
Beep boop. This is 2 hours. Is there a 90-minute Bond? Is there any particularly short one? Is there
Quantum of Solace is the shortest one. I think that's about 90-something minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
that seems incredible to me that there's the one that's, because isn't Skyfall's over 2 hours, or am I full of shit?
It's 2.5 hours, and Spectre's even longer. It's 2 hours 40 or something nuts like that. And this is apparently No Time to Die is going to be 3 million hours. And it's
We've waited long enough. Get your fucking money's worth.
Exactly.
That's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really like because this has miniatures by the great Derek Meddings, and yes. I assume that the intro sequence with all the kind of communist iconography crumbling and stuff, that's such a great thing to open your first kind of properly post-war Bond with. It's to go straight and go, oh, by the way, that's over, because you have the opening thing, obviously, with all the Soviet stuff, and then it's a kind of post-Soviet Russia. And then it's that, I guess, was such a big figure in Bond stuff because we had the East versus West thing for years and years and years, that they kind of go okay, here's some sexy ladies on a Lenin. They're on a hammer. Oh, get a burst too late.
So that was Daniel Kleinman who did the titles for this, and I think this was his first one. And he's done them all apart from Quantum of Solace. Okay. He's done all of the title stuff, and I nearly got to work with it. So I auditioned for a Lexus advert, the Japanese Mercedes. Lexi, plural. But it was for a tie-in with Men in Black International, so I had to be a man in black. And
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and that was looking promising at one point, and then they cast someone else. But that was being directed by Daniel Kleinman, so I was kind of oh, that would have been so cool to do a thing with Dan Clement. And then I saw the thing, and it was only on the internet, and it was only very brief, and it wasn't all that.
It was rubbish because you weren't in it, mate. Basically.
Well, that's it. I mean, I wasn't going to go there, but since you say
I didn't really like Men in Black International, and I probably would have liked it more if I thought you were involved in the promotional rounds for it, and you weren't. So fuck it, garbage.
It was a bit.
It actually was kind of shit. I mean, I'm not a fan. I kind of it's a sort of a shame because I wouldn't have Chris Hemsworth as Bond. That's not in my mind at all. But as kind of parody Bond, I think he could do really well, because they kind of half-heartedly did that in Men in Black International.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, there's been a lot of Bond. There was firstly Bond parody, and that's been around, since they did the Casino. Just very quickly, the last appearance of a cravat in a Bond film.
Really?
So Alan Partridge, yeah, it's so Alan Partridge. He's wearing like a cable knit cardigan, cable knit jumper, which I am too. Let's be fair, and a blue shirt with a cravat.
That is my favourite off IMDb trivia ever. Because I thought she was wearing one. And you were saying no, it's certifiably the last cravat, but this is the last time Bond wears a cravat. Presumably, it could be the last cravat ever. But I thought that was a more unilateral statement. It's kind of there's no more cravats. Eon decided that cravats were out, and there hasn't been one.
I mean, everything or nothing, right? So
well, that's it. Nothing. Well, I believe that Danny Boyle's film was going to be very cravat-centric, and that's why he walks.
The thing of the thing to which everything or nothing refers is cravats. Little known fact.
Yeah. Every time there's a definite article or an object referred to, it is a cravat. Yeah. It's absolutely a cravat. Yeah, well, that's the problem, and we've been robbed of that now. I keep hearing. Sorry, go on.
No, please.
Okay,
please.
So the Bond game thing, which we will get to. I know this is the movie, but we'll get to the game later. It seems that it's Eon were the reason, because everyone blamed it on Nintendo, because it was going to go to Microsoft, and they blamed it on Nintendo. But there's a lot of innuendo that Eon was a stickler, because they've introduced a number of kind of things that they want around Bond games and things you can and can't see Bond doing, and there's stuff in Goldeneye the game that they don't like. Maybe it's the shooting of the scientists or something. I mean, what I specifically heard was there
was a shooting of a scientist in the film.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, exactly, hypocrites. Just also the famous cravat multiplayer mode where everyone has to collect cravats whilst throwing cravats at each other.
Cravat mode. Yeah.
We used to might sit around the TV, listen to some Limp Bizkit, and play cravat mode all night long.
I love the croupier or whatever in the thing. He looks dead when he sort of looks up at him and goes like, "Sweeney" or whatever fucking thing he says, and he just goes. He looks like he just comes to life and goes. And then goes back to
actor. It was his last wish to be in a Bond film, and he died. So they just puppeteered him Weekend at Bernie style for his scenes. Yeah, it's another great bit of trivia. I forgot that she Xenia on the top smokes a cigar. It's a nice,
like a really long, thin one. She's
great. She's fantastic in this.
Famke Janssen, breakout role for her as well.
This is next to Nicole Kidman among teenage Jackson sexual awakenings as well.
Very good.
Yeah, and also she's kind of kinky and evil as well, because she like crushes dudes' chests with her legs, right? That's the thing.
Well, she crosses. Yeah, she sort of. I'm not quite sure how it works. When I was a 11-year-old, it made perfect sense, but now less so. But yeah, she somehow sort of. I guess she sort of squeezes their chests together, and they can't breathe.
The guts fall out
of their bum.
Yes.
My dad sent us £10, by the way. He says, "Great stuff as always. Keep it up." Thank you, Dad. Dad actually came and rescued us today because my wife's car wouldn't start because it had a flat battery. So he brought his jump leads over. Just thought I'd share that with you.
Cheers, Philip. Thank you so much. Still never met your dad, and he's funding my profligate lifestyle. I'm sat here drinking Sainsbury's vodka and sodas like some kind of Saudi prince. Also, we've got Zachary Antle back with another $5. I'm trying to get started in a filmmaking career, and I hope I can make a movie with you someday, Duncan. Guys, you really inspire me. Oh, that's lovely.
Bless you.
Oh, yeah.
I only all my characters wear cravats.
That's true. Yeah, that's why he was offered Bond. Every time Craig
I said, unless you can make a cravat look like a bow tie, forget it.
That's it. And he walked up to Barbara Broccoli in his loudest, biggest cravat and said, "This is me, and if you can't deal with it, that's your problem." Then he walked off.
And then I clicked my finger like that and walked off.
Oh, it's that
got back in my old car and drove away.
It's their loss, mate. It's their loss. I was going to be Blofeld, but again, cravat as well. I went in. Duncan and I do things together unilaterally, and if we're
that's it. Everything
exactly. And she watched Val Verde broadcast and went, "We need to get these two. We need to get these guys for Blofeld and Bond. Except they love cravats. Now we have to cancel these video games." A bit of unocular action there.
Oh, yeah. Bit of binocular. Too late.
Too late. Oh, silly boat captain. I mean, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But she's going to squeeze your ribcage to bits with her thighs.
Not a bad way to go.
Could be worse, couldn't it? Could be worse. Manticore.
It's supposed to be a Canadian. I like that. There's a great bit. I mean, this is a very. One thing I think that this film absolutely nailed is the dialogue. Like, it's so. Again, because I think they'd had that 6 years, which by the way, by the time No Time to Die, if it comes out this October, will have been 6 years since Spectre. So there would have been the same gap between this and License to Kill. But anyway, because they'd had that time, obviously they were able to just really nail down a really great script. And I think, though I think the basis of it was for Timothy Dalton's third film, I think they've really written it well around Pierce Brosnan. I don't think you see a massive sea change between this and Tomorrow Never Dies in terms of the sort of snappiness of the dialogue and everything. But I just think, so like earlier, when he's like, what is he? She says, "What rank do you hold in the motor department, Mr. Bond?" And he goes, "Commander." And she goes, "This one's an admiral," And the other guy comes over and he's like, "I like a woman who enjoys pulling rank," and stuff like that. I just like the fact that it clips along. There's no sort of shoe leather. It's all really like character driven, but still very Bond. And because the idea is she's stealing his ID, right? So they can get on board the Manticore. No. Manticore, whatever it's called. Anyway, the French naval boat and steal the helicopter.
It feels like the thing is, again, because I just feel underqualified and everything, but it feels like distilled Bond. I think it has all the elements in it. It has everything it should have. There's a bit in a casino, there's the kind of gadgets, but they're not too silly. There's kind of action. It's a bit kind of dark in places. It's a bit fun, but it's not too silly. I don't know. But again, it's kind of like, it's very far from the first one I watched, but it was the one we got to watch where we were part of it and it was going on, right? Because I think we both saw it on home video rather than in the cinema.
Yeah.
But it just feels like it feels like all the pieces are there, which I kind of dig. And again, I don't really like Bond particularly, but if you're saying to me, watch this. I did watch. I think the last time I watched a Bond film was probably when I watched Tomorrow Never Dies with you and Brad. Like, if you don't count the plague year, I like to think it was last year, but it's not. It was like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
But which I like how kind of silly that is. It's kind of, that's quite cartoony, that one. And then The World Is Not Enough goes back to a more of a sensible thing. I think
I don't know about that. I wouldn't agree with that at all. I think.
Oh, really?
I think What Is Not Enough goes way bonkers. Yeah, no, this and Tomorrow Never Dies, I think, are of a similar level in terms of their kind of
I suppose The World Is Not Enough has that speedboat thing. I kind of view it as like
and the rest, and the inflatable avalanche jacket.
You never had an inflatable avalanche jacket. Okay, I'm just wrong. That's fine.
This bit here. So obviously they just showed the ID, right? I think the point is that it's Urumov who snuck in with her, right? But Urumov looks fuck all like that guy. Look, you sort of see him from behind, and it looks like him. But it's like, is that Urumov in like a sort of Mission Impossible style mask?
A mask and a fat suit.
Yeah, I don't know. Or I don't know if they got someone else to look like him, and then because later on you see the helicopter arrive in Severnaya, and they're both on board. But I suppose it could have stopped somewhere else on the way to pick up Urumov, but it's just a bit weird. Right. Anyway, sorry.
Right. Oh no, there's a dead man in there. Oh, James. I love his face. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
This is every time he does a thing like that, I just hear that music in my head. But not the music, it's me shouting the music obnoxiously to annoy you is the version I hear. When something goes off.
I think as well, I think something like this is kind of, I think the reason why this hits such a sweet spot as well is the fact that it's reverential, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think it just hits the tone of everything right. I think in terms of it's an interesting thing because obviously we're used to now the way people talk about the next James Bond, it's always like, oh, with a view to them being a reboot or something, or right. It's going to be really different. And it's kind of like, well, this was still in the era where it was like, yeah, it was, but it was always like a soft reboot. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think the conception generally was up until the last decade, really, or 15 years. Like people wouldn't be able to understand a reboot, because my understanding of these is always that they kind of loosely share continuity, but until Batman Begins, you didn't really openly go, this is its own thing. You would kind of just carry on and hope no one noticed. Which is what the Craig one was I kind of like that from the outset with Craig. It's kind of like, no, this is new. I think we can only do so much in this continuity, so we're doing something new. But I think there's perhaps a bit of a mistrust in audiences. That having been said, I remember, I think we talked about this before, I remember coming out of Batman Begins and people going, but they showed the Joker killing Batman's parents. It's like, is that really
what don't you understand about it? It was the same thing with Casino Royale, because that sort of followed hot on the footsteps of Batman Begins, and it was like, but Judi Dench, how's she the same M? Because he's just starting out now, and I don't get it. It's like, it's just go with it, all right, it's a different M. It just happens to be played by Judy Dench. You know, it's like people cannot get their head around that. And then there's all these stupid theories about how it goes Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Doctor No Through Die Another Day, Skyfall, and it's like, then explain Spectre
people have tried to.
How does that even work? We introduced Moneypenny in Skyfall, so what? How did that work?
Right. Oh my
God! So there's none of that makes any sense at all. It's just lazy sort of. It's like, could you get your head? What is the resistance to like? It's a new continuity. Just go with it. It's like there wasn't really that much continuity in these films anyway. So it's just like, well,
I think audiences are more au fait now, aren't they? Because I mean, the X-Men movies really broke the back of his like in continuity, his in continuity reboots, his like actual time travel reboots of stuff, and then now we're gonna get the DC and Marvel are both queuing up their fucking multiverse shit, which I never thought. To me, multiverse was always the most fringe comic stuff that you couldn't do in a film because everyone wouldn't get it. And now they're kind of softly teeing up all the multiverse shit for those, and those are like some of the biggest franchises on the planet. So yeah, but again, if you tried to pull that 10 years ago, there's no way, or 15 years ago. I'm not saying people wouldn't have got it. It's just no one would have put the money behind it.
Well, 15 years ago was Casino Royale.
Yeah, Batman Begins.
But yeah,
if you were to do
I see multiverse. Sorry, I think
So if you had Michael Keaton turn up in Christian Bale, Batman, or whatever.
Yeah, true.
Or the Bonds film. That would be fucking confusing.
Gamer Guy's reviews, I think is now. He says, I knew a guy in junior college who fervently believed in the James Bond codename theory. I have no idea what he was smoking. It's only what sort of people who don't really watch Bond films say because they think it makes them smart. That's a codename.
I feel like something that was in a cracked article, and then they kind of read it and go like, "Well, it's codename."
If you think about it, it's like if you think about it.
Stop guessing Bond wrong.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, it's a bit like...
No, we'll do. Man, you have a huge insight into the numerous things that I'm like that about. So it's very nice to sort of have the shoe on the other foot for once. Yeah, I mean, the multi-Bond thing, I kind of get, and it's cute, but like also no. I think because Lee Tamahori, director of the best Bond film, didn't he believe in that? He was a subscriber to that theory. I don't think he put it in that film.
Tried to introduce it, I believe, and was slapped down, basically.
Well, that would be such a fucking... Because here's the thing, right? Let's just say, because in a Marvel film, or say even a Batman film, you could do really the kind of dimensional portal thing, right? But you couldn't really do, if you want to do the all Bonds film, which is impossible because of the ones that are dead, and like the James Bond universe doesn't really open up to the possibility of interdimensional travel. That kind of breaks but it's not really in the tone of it at all. It's about, there might be invisible cars and avalanche jackets, but there's not like interdimensional sliders technology. That just would completely break the whole... I know Moonraker went to space. I can sanction that, but it's just not right for this kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I mean it's always been. I mean, I think they said James Bond exists, a couple of hours into the future, if that makes sense. So it's like it's slightly ahead of us. That's why the technology is just slightly out of reach and all that sort of stuff. But it shouldn't be so ridiculous. I mean, all the stunts and stuff are outrageous and everything, but it should never be. It very much exists in the real world. There's no made up places or anything. Well, there's one or two made up places, but generally speaking, it exists in our world.
They should set one in Val Verde, the fucking cowards. You fucking cowards! I do really like the lighting and stuff in the bunker and everything.
Yeah,
and again, it is weird because I think the game people got like blueprints or something, didn't they, to build their levels around? They had access.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier. Yeah, sorry, they were invited on set to basically photograph it, but I don't know that. And then they were given a script, so I think that's why there's some stuff that's sort of incongruous. Like, as in, like they were kind of going, well, this will happen, and then obviously as they were filming this, they changed things. So, and they had certain sets that just weren't that I guess were built but not used in the film and stuff. So there's certain things that aren't there, but by and large, yeah, it's a very faithful thing. We had £10 in the PayPal. It's a very long one from Doug Wanacott. Yeah, not my real name. I realise this is very juvenile, and I'm not proud of myself. I'd love to hear, spelled Here, when I think you mean Hear. P.S. If Duncan isn't too tired, try and remember the names of the Bond films after a Viagra and a couple of drinks. He's feeling a bit randy, and he can't quite recall the names correctly. You don't have to read all of them.
That is specific. Yeah, Randy Pierce innuendo Bond names, I guess.
Well, none of these make any sense to me, but I'll just read them. I mean, I don't know what Randy drunk sounds like.
Priapic Randy drunk. That's part of Randy, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. Dr. Blow.
That is juvenile.
Whole fingerer.
I like that one because it's quite a stretch. I mean, I'm enjoying these.
Tender balls.
Okay.
Like blue balls, thunderball. Up Her Majesty's secret entrance.
Lost me a bit there.
Hyman's Aunt Forever. I like that one.
And we're back.
I don't understand this one. Oh, right.
Sorry, I like the turnaround. I don't understand. Oh.
Licking wet thigh.
Right. Good. I like that. Yeah.
Flatly, my dear. I don't river dance. The man with the golden shower. The spy the spy who pumped me.
Yeah.
Poon. Poon taker. Right. For your ass only. Coctopussy.
Wait.
Never say.
Is it cock to pussy?
Yeah.
Good. Cheers, dog. Carry on.
Never say leather again. Brackets not official. The loving gale nights. Swollen eye.
Swollen eye. Right. That's good. I like that.
Tomorrow never comes. One hole is not enough. Libido Royale.
Right. Okay.
Quim of Solace. Right. As you can see, he has forgotten some. Oh no, that's not Pierce. Sorry, Duncan. Sorry. Okay, no problem. All right.
I mean that's what you look, guys. That's what your £10 gets you. I think it's £10 well spent. I mean,
well,
I would throw money to Duncan if it didn't go into the same pot. You know what I mean?
Like, give me.
Yeah, exactly. You got to earn your crust, mate. You know. God, I liked swollen eye. I liked. Yeah, you know. I think one of my favourite, I offhandedly said, not understanding Casino Royale, that James Bond made a man eat a toilet, and then you did your Daniel Craig voice and went, "Eat it, all of it," and I still, in my quiet moments, remember that and laugh. I woke up laughing to that 2 nights ago. Your impression of Daniel Craig making a man eat a toilet, and the good thing is I can't. Luckily, I'm off the hook for laughing at my own joke because it's not. It's kind of half my own joke. The rest is you.
Very good.
Yeah, that's my understanding of James Bond.
Made a man eat a toilet. Is it urinal?
Yeah, that's a type of toilet.
I suppose.
Duncan's been washing his hands in them all these years. You see, that's the sad fact.
It was a bidet. So I never understood the bidet thing. I mean, yes, it will get you clean, but it'll also make you wet. So you presumably then have a towel of some sort.
A special brown towel.
Yeah, bum rag.
bum rag.
That's what we have. That's what we have for my daughter. This is too much stuff, but we use a bum rag to just dry her off, pat her dry with a bum rag.
Good, lovely.
There you go.
There was a thing in Viz called the Clag Be Gone, which was a special device for removing winnets from one's anus. And what it was, if you imagine a bicycle that's kind of suspended, and the back wheel is just a big circular brush, and at the bottom there's a dish of hot soapy water, and you just pedal the bike and lower your anus onto it. I told you I love Viz, didn't I?
You did, yeah. Yeah.
Also in Viz, because is Jeffrey Palmer in this one? Or is it the next one?
No, he's in Tomorrow Never Dies.
They once did a kind of article called "Who's the best Jeffrey, Palmer or Dahmer?" And one of the criteria was whether or not you'd been in a Bond film, and I thought that was great. Jeffrey Dahmer has been in 0 Bond films, just to be completely clear. that we know.
That would be weird.
That we know about.
I might get rid of this background because it's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't like your mic because I guess it's not organic matter. So it doesn't.
Well, I guess it's too like if I come closer, it might. If I put my hand up over it.
Just stay like that for the next hour and a half. It's fine.
Hello. Yeah, I'll turn that off. You can look at my boring office.
It's still a Bond background to me.
I know. I'm trying to find out how you do it.
Trapped.
I'm so trapped in a gun. Oh, there you go. Off. Right, there you are. It's pissing me off.
Natalia hit the biscuit, so she's all right.
Right, yes, of course. Yeah. She had to ventilate someone. See, all this is Derek Medding's miniatures, right? It's all the MiGs and the dish and all that stuff. It looks incredible.
It looks so good. Really, really good. So what's Natalia done? What else has she done?
Isabella Scorupco. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in The Exorcist: The Beginning.
Oh right. Oh bloody
with
hell.
Alan Ford.
Yes.
That was we did discuss this, I think, in our previous incarnation. About what did I say about get the fuck out? But that's his sort of exorcist sort of thing. The power of Christ compels you to fuck off. That's right. I remember that. No,
I wasn't even in the room for that. I just knew how it was going to end.
Yeah,
just knew. That's great. Bless him. Alan Ford for James Bond. What
Why not? Yeah.
Shaken,
not stirred.
I'd love if the announcement, because then it'd be Alan Ford, like presumably 80-year-old Alan Ford, coming down the Thames on a speedboat to a press conference to announce his candidacy as James Bond.
So, what makes your Bond different to all the others? In the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again. Bricktop, but in a Bond film.
Oh, I love the idea of it. Yes, terrifying 80-year-old Cockney Bond. That's great. I mean, it's got to be him or Wallace Shawn, isn't it? That's the best candidate for Bond. That miniature's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, there it crashes through everything. That's really cool.
Poor Natalia, she gets really put through the fucking ringer, doesn't she? Oh, yeah, of course, the fucking thing falls on her nearly, or basically doesn't it?
I think I would say she is one of the best, if not the best, probably Bond girls. Because she's like, also because I just love her as an actress. I think she's done a few other things as well that I've seen her in. She's in Reign of Fire actually as well.
Oh right, okay.
Not seen it, but she's really great. And I think because she was interviewed on set and they did the usual sort of fatuous questions that they ask of everyone. It's like, what makes her different? Is she a strong Bond girl this time? Because again, the sort of commonly held belief is that all Bond girls are just shrieking damsels in distress, and it's like that's not true at all. That's literally not been true since the first. Because in the same breath they'll show you footage of Ursula Andress walking out of the water, and also talk about how girls need to be brought up to date. And it's like the very first quote unquote Bond girl like threatened to stab him in the guts when he, you know what I mean? Like she was independent and strong, and she like told a story about how she murdered someone who killed her father. It's like, what are you talking about? Like Pussy Galore? No, don't remember that. So Isabella Scorupco was right. She just went like, well, I think they've all been strong, and I think I think that's up to us, isn't it? Like that's not. I mean, it's not about.
Good for her.
We're not breaking ground, but we are making like strong characters, and I think she gets it. I think she's fantastic. She obviously fits the role of a Bond girl, but she's also got agency. They keep her consistent with like she's proactive, she's capable.
The plot
she
needs her very much. Her kind of specialism and stuff is really important to the plot of the film and everything.
She's resourceful though as well, like that bit where she goes later on when she's in Russia or whatever trying to get information on what's gone on. She does that ruse with the guy who's brilliant in that computer shop.
Oh yeah,
where computers, and it's just like 300 for the American school, 1200. She like pretends she's got this massive list of like she's going to put in this huge order, but she's like, "Madam needs one test, whatever, and a quiet place to test it." And it's just like, he just says it, but like fucks off and lets her go on the internet. It's so funny. It's really, again, those moments of comedy are still character driven, but they're just funny because of the scenario. It's the same thing like Robbie Coltrane later on. Valentin Sukovsky is a hilarious character.
And the weird Mini Driver role that we all forget.
What's
this really odd that Because I know she was kind of she was halfway between being in Brass Eye or to the day-to-day and then doing movies. So I suppose it was that part in her career.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting was a year or two later after this. So
Alex Naum, I'm doing my best to pronounce your name. $5 Australian dollars. Up in the middle of the night for a whiz and thought I'd say good day. Love your work. Cheers, Alex. Thank you very much. Enjoy using your pelvic floor to expel urine from your bladder. What? That was just medical.
I assume that in Australia, firstly, watch for the reverse flow.
That's true.
Secondly, that I assume that it's the opposite here, in that right now, getting up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet in this country is like torture because it's freezing cold.
You make it sound like you haven't peed in a long time. I don't know what that's. Oh, is it just because you're just not asleep because of baby?
No. I mean, you just sometimes wake up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. Maybe it's age.
No, I do. I was saying you made it sound like you never get up in the middle of the night.
Oh no, I do. But I'm just saying right now in the winter.
Now. Really it is. Can confirm. I've had my middle of the night peas. Can confirm. Yeah. It's just our hallway is on the corner of the house, so it's frighteningly cold, like all of the time. So that's where the route to the toilet is.
I have to. We've had to sort of leave the heating on now, sort of permanently. We turn it down at night, but we basically leave it on all the time just because baby and everything.
Right. Oh, of course. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. I went and saw my folks yesterday, and obviously I can't go in the house. I've still got a social distance. I haven't seen them since Christmas Day. I just got to a point where I've got to go, because the phone's not quite cutting it. And bless him, he sat on the fucking deck in woolly hats and gloves, and my dad had like blankets on him, like so he could sit in the garden for an hour. And it's like, yeah, well, I got to go because either I'm going to kill you from the cold, or you're going to get this virus. So I'll see you later. Yeah. Thanks for the tea. Don't touch the mug.
Yeah, this is the sort of I do think this sort of the making. I mean, I know a lot of hay was made of M becoming a woman, or becoming a woman. That makes it sound like she's trans.
No I don't mean that. Or anything, no.
I mean, M being a woman, and it always felt really natural. And it actually is always like I mean, she's my favorite M. Like, I mean, not because she's a woman necessarily, although I think that adds a dynamic that really works both with Pierce Brosnan and with Daniel Craig, for different reasons. But I think she just nailed it. Like she always, and she had she's very distinctive in both of her portrayals of M, because she essentially got to play M twice in a different
two different ways. So you explained that to me because I wasn't aware enough to notice the differences in the characters. Really, so I've only seen each one of them once.
Well, she's in this. Obviously, she's got the whole kind of I'm taking over from the predecessor.
Who was her predecessor, by the way?
Predecessor wasn't. Well, Bernard Lee was the original M, and then you had Robert Brown played M. Is it Robert Brown? Is Robert Brown the name of the? Robert Brown's the name of the actor, isn't it? Yeah, I think. Anyway, he was sort of like he used to play the. He was like the minister for something, so he cropped up in a bunch of movies with Bernard Lee playing M, but then he kind of took over in View to a Kill, I think. Or Octopussy? View to a Kill. No, Octopus. One of them anyway. He took over as M, and then he was through Dalton, and then she took over. So and there's I think it's in The World Is Not Enough when they're in this sort of Scottish Highlands retreat place. There's a big picture. There's a big portrait of Bernard Lee on the wall in the background.
Oh, okay.
It's really. And now they do it with her. So in the is it Inspector? I think they've done it in No Time to Die, but I think Inspector as well. There's a portrait of her somewhere in the background, like on one of the walls. But yeah, so the difference being really is that in this, she's taking over, and this was a real life thing as well. I think the head of MI6 had.
Oddly enough, two things. So James Atkins says Robert Brown was an admiral in This Way You Love Me, and then became M and Octopussy, and then TMYTC says the head of MI5. He says when this was made was Stella Rimington.
That's right. So they were like emulating that, I think. But so there was real life commentary going on with it as well. But then like kind of when Daniel Craig started in Casino Royale, she's very much more like she's way harder. Like she's way harder and harsher on him and everything, and she's much more of a sort of mothering figure. So yeah.
I really liked her in because Skyfall was the one that I really latched onto. I really liked that, and I owned it on disc for a little bit. I just kind of thought, hey, this is a cool fucking spy movie, and Roger Deakins, and Sam Mendes and everything. But I liked, because we didn't have to do anything, but her arc of spoilers for Skyfall, but like killing off M, and putting Ray Fiennes in the wings, ready to take that over and stuff. And I really like his character as well, actually, in Skyfall, and becoming M and stuff. So yeah, I've really liked. She's fucking Judi Dench, isn't she? She's fucking great.
And she's lovely. Like I said hello to her.
When you were on Skyfall?
Yeah. She was really sweet. And Ray Fiennes was really lovely as well. He came over and chatted to me just completely out of the blue, with no reason to. So yeah, no, both really lovely. But yeah, no, Judi Dench was always, big smiles and happy to be there. Basically, you could tell she was really happy and just happy, which is nice. Really nice.
She got to survive the transition between the fucking continuities, which is kind of cool. But I think, I think she was just very popular in that role, wasn't she? So I think it was the smart thing to keep it the one bit of odd continuity there, because she was just well liked as M.
This guy, sorry,
no, go on.
Just gonna say, Dmitry Mishkin, who is the defense minister. There's Michael G. Wilson's cameo there, of course, because he always cameos in all of these. He is, I forget the actor's name. He's a French actor, and he's the villain in Bad Boys, which you haven't seen.
I've seen Bad Boys for Life, though.
You've seen the worst one.
Brilliant. Well, but I've seen one of them. I thought you'd be proud of me, Dad, but no.
Fine. I'm very disappointed.
I'll go one further. I didn't mind it.
Oh God. I don't know why it was really funny. Like he goes, no, I won't do it. I'm not gonna do it. All right, I might. He goes, he's like, sorry about the leg. It's like skiing, and he shoots the thing across, and Q goes, hunting. I always wanted him to just turn around, look him straight in the eye, and go, bumming.
That's a special bumming leg. We're catching bum.
Yeah, bumming. It's just like with such gusto, and yeah.
These two have really great chemistry. I think it's what their scenes are the real standouts in these.
Well, because as well by this point, especially, you kind of had the more. It's the sort of grumpy uncle, isn't it? Because he very much is older. Like here, like with Dalton and him, there was still a kind of not contemporary vibe, but they were slightly closer in age. And here, it's just like, no, this is a cantankerous old uncle who's fed up with your schoolboy antics. The Z3, the BMW, was a very last minute addition, which is why nothing really happens in it. And he goes like, it's got Stinger missiles, and it's like. You never see that.
This is a car. It has wheels and an engine.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well. Like, you see a parachute come out the back of it, but that's clearly just put behind it. And then it's like, it might as well. You might as well say it cures cancer, because for all the good it does, like there's no. It just drives.
This is great. I love this as a setup, because it's Chekhov's exploding grenade pen, but they've already kind of teed up Boris's tick with the pen. So because that's so good, because when Bond's counting the clicks later, so are you. You sat there go like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, and then Bond just goes, just grabs it off him and chucks it. It's great.
You never. I mean, the thing is, that doesn't make any sense, because it's 3 clicks arms it and 3 clicks disarms it, and it's like, but how does it know you've done?
I love I would lose count, man. I'd be like, oh fuck, we constantly throwing it away. Just like, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, is it must be 3 clicks in quick succession, because if you sort of clicked it, used it as a pen, and the villain was like, use that pen. And you're like, there you go, and then he's like, do it again, and then you would have technically clicked it 3 times. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Don't touch that. It's my lunch. So, hard cut to plane landing. Like, and it's like this massive as well. It's like,
it should have been that ambulance from Father Ted.
He killed 007 over his lunch. And here's obviously Joe Don Baker returning in a different role. So he's one of the few people who's actually come back.
He's one of the Dalton ones, wasn't he? But now he's
in Living Daylights as Brad Whitaker.
Right. But this is Jack Wade.
Well done.
Yeah. Well, I know my Brosnan ones a little bit. He said stiff ass Brit. Did Did they redo kind of Jack Wade? Did they recast for any of the Craig ones or anything? Or am I?
No, he was. So I mean, I believe the reason why Jack Wade exists is because he's supposed to be a sort of another. He's a stand-in for Felix Leiter, because Felix Leiter in License to Kill is obviously horribly maimed. He loses a leg from a shark attack, and so I guess he's medically retired. So you can't. He needed another CIA contact, so that's why I think they came up with Jack Wade. And it was a chance to sort of reinvent that character and make him a kind of bumbling
Muffy tattoo.
It's that gardening thing as well, and he's like, "Hey Bond, you do any gardening?" It's just like, and then he's like always commenting on what's like when they're in Cuba. He's like, banyan trees. It's just like.
Okay.
Why he's into gardening. I love his bit in Tomorrow Never Dies as well. So it's slightly he has less of a cameo, but it's just he's like in that Hawaiian shirt with that horrendous hat on and stuff, and it's just
that's how I choose to remember him. And considering how comprehensive they were in the Goldeneye game, where's our cosplay loud shirt Jack Wade character to play as?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of this was shot because I mean, this was wasn't it? This was what they repurposed Leavesden for, which has now become Leavesden Studios, and it was owing to this film because what were they were shooting something at Pinewood that meant that Bond couldn't get in, so they had to find somewhere else. And Leavesden at the time was a disused Rolls-Royce factory, so they repurposed it as a film studio and built a lot of these Soviet sets. Like out the back on the lot, so these are all just fake buildings and streets because the point being is that they were going to try and drive a tank through a bunch of it.
Yeah, they have to fuck it all up later.
Exactly. So they did film some of it in St. Petersburg, which I've been to, by the way, and it does look as dreary as that.
When did you go to St. Petersburg?
School trip, mate. School trip. We went on the overnight train to Moscow. Yes, 12. Interesting though. A lot of buildings there have bullet holes in them.
So. I can't think why.
How
strange.
Not because of dissidents.
Absolutely not. No one was put against those walls and shot. Those are just. Those are speed holes, Duncan. It makes the city go faster.
You got it. But it was fun. It was really like eye-opening trip and everything. But yeah. I love this stuff. And as well, I bet you would get a kick out of listening to what she lists off, because presumably in 1995 speak, it was expensive gear, but it's like 12 million. There you go. Right, listen to this.
14.4 modems. Yeah. That's mad good 1995 shit. That is.
For some reason, my copy is not playing any sound at all. But that's sort of to our advantage today, because I don't need.
I suppose you don't really need your subtitles for this one, do you?
No. I probably could recite most of it.
Alan Cumming is great in this. Boris was my favourite character to always play a multiplayer Goldeneye, because that's much in the way kind of like Odd Job is kind of a cheat because he's little. Boris is kind of. It's not as bad as being Baron Samedi or Jaws, but because of his loud shirt, he's easy to spot. So if you're playing as Boris, you're kind of doing hard mode in a soft way. So I'd play as Boris because I was a real fucking showboater when I played. I used to be shit hot at GoldenEye when I was younger. And
I was pretty good too, man. I spent a lot of hours in.
Same, man. I tell you what, though, playing it again this week, I've just been like, oh dear, this is not as good as I used to.
Well, me and my friends used to do all the speed runs and try and get all the cheats and stuff. And the hardest one was that invincibility, wasn't it? You had to do the facility in a minute or something crazy, and you had to literally get everything perfect. And then wasn't the thing where like you had to, was it Dr. Doak? And you had to go and find him, but he could be anywhere. There was like three places
and
he could
be. And
it
fucks up your run because he can spawn.
If he wasn't in... Yeah.
If he's not on your way, you have to go to the extra bottling room. Also, so Dr. Doak had the face and name of David Doak, who was an employee of Rare. And in the reissue, he has a different face and a different name. So presumably that's kind of... That was changed Dick. Because of reasons.
Dr. Dick got a giant dick for a face.
A flaccid one though, because that's funnier. Flaccid penis slapping down.
Oh god! We've received £5 from Nathan Maguire.
Thank you, Nathan.
Says, "Hey, you beautiful boys! I always end up missing the watch parties because both YouTube and I are a hot mess. So I'm very happy watching this from the start. Keep on going. Lots of love. Thank you very much, Nathan. I really appreciate it.
I love tour. All right, come on.
Yeah. Sure. This band. This is True Lies. But when you think, this is the thing as well. I was sort of saying earlier, it's like the parodies. I mean, there's the spoofs. So there's your Austin Powerses and your Casino Royaleses and other various like Naked Gun, even in a way, and stuff like that. And Spy Hard, if you remember that, which was essentially Naked Gun, James Bond. So it has sort of created this tradition, and it's like so many things like Mission Impossible is just a repurposed, like that's a brand name that got turned into basically an American James Bond show.
Yeah, massively. They even killed off the original character and made him evil in the first one from the TV show. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you've got your Kingsmans and you've got your various things. What are you drinking?
Vodka soda. I'm trying to lose weight. I've successfully lost weight this week, so I'm on vodka soda.
I'm going some Johnny Walker.
It's not very strong. It's not going to get me very far. Don't even have a buzz off of this, to be honest. So it's low sugar.
Speaking of Scottish, his Robbie Train.
I love him. I love his return character. By which I mean I love the character. He's great. It's like I can't remember the exact dialogue, but I often think, particularly since I had like my leg fixed, when he's like, shot him in the knee. He's like, when it's cold, it hurts. Do you know how often it's cold in Russia or whatever he says? It's still good.
Oh, I know, I love it. I believe this was Pierce Brosnan's first day.
Oh, right.
On the as well, because I watched the thing he did, the commentary he did. He said that. But yeah, I think I love that. Oh, and this has got in this scene. What's his name? One of the guys I did Emmerdale with was cut out of this scene, and so we both shared sort of commiserating being cut out of Bond films things. And anyway, but yes, I love the guy. It's like, do you know how often it gets cold in Russia? It's like, tell him, Dmitri. And he's like, well, it depends. Silence. I love all that stuff. It's so good.
Yeah, I always loved this scene and this character. I just always like, this is cool. This is so cool. And then I really kind of, they like that they have a past, and then they pick up here, and then they brought him back, and it's like, but then they kill him, and it's like, oh no, you should have kept up with that. That was a cool character.
I do like because he's sort of always had these various characters. Some of them are sort of proper allies, like Kerim Bey and From Russia with Love, and Felix Leiter is another one. Kind of, there's always a sort of, but there's usually an R-man in. So there's various examples of it throughout. There's a guy in Die Another Day who goes to see with the Delictados, and in Cuba there's always a sort of sleeper agent or someone somewhere. So in this case, it's sort of like Valentin kind of fills that role, even though he's ex-KGB or whatever, and he's mafia and he's into all kinds of bullshit, but he's an ally for Bond because Bond's always got to present him with it. It's a bit of a weird setup because we cut to this thing in his office and he's just obviously finishing up laying out some kind of plan that will enable Valentin to steal a bunch of stuff or something, but you don't really know what it is. It's like, they walk out with the money, your money. I love it again. It's just great. There's things like, when he says like something about it says they stole the helicopter and he goes, they have 6, and he's like, 3, none that fly. It's just like that tells you a lot about Valentin as well. It's like he lies, he's full of shit, like
shyster,
it's like, but again, it's beautifully told through the plot of the movie. There's no wasted dialogue because again, it's just smart. It's not exposition. It's exposition that you can piece together from what's being told in the thing, but it's like it's all character motivated. It's all, it's brilliant. And this film doesn't really get enough praise for that, but I think it absolutely deserves it.
And particularly what came after it. I mean, I do like The World Is Not Enough and everything, but I think this is such a classy movie all round. I think there's really tight writing, really great performances. Martin Campbell, I do rate. I mean, it's a real shame because I don't think Green Lantern is terrible. I just don't think it was the most terribly exciting script in the words, because it's just kind of lacking, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's Martin Campbell's fault. It just feels like a film by committee.
I think he walked into I think he thought, great, I'll make it unfilmed at Martin Campbell, and they went, nah.
No. Yeah. It's like, why am I here then? Get some fucking random guy.
Yeah, it's a weird choice to have given that to him. I never really got that. But he did the Zorro films, didn't he? And he did But I think those were the only real major features that he'd done before this. I think he was sort of did a lot of TV.
Michael Apted did
Gorillas in the Mist.
Yeah, but like 7-Up as well, the documentary series and stuff. So like seeing him do one is just like, well, that's fucking crazy, but okay.
That's what they used to do, though. It wasn't necessarily that you got these sort of auteur, people, and that's why it's always been it's always been cocked up, when they've tried to do it, like Danny Boyle and people like that. I think they've always just rubbed up against.
It's kind of like the Star Wars thing. It's like if you don't want someone doing their own thing, don't hire someone who's had success doing their own thing. Like Danny Boyle's not going to make your film. He's going to want to put his own spin on it, and lo and behold, he fucked off. So well, of course he did. It's no surprise. Like I could have bloody told you that.
But it's interesting though, because like you say, Sam Mendes worked for 2 films, and now you've got Cary Fukunaga, who arguably is quite a sort of, he has very much his own style, I think, and he's quite a sort of.
As I said before, the series Maniac that he did for Netflix was fucking superb. Like I really, really liked it. How that in any way translates to Bond, I don't know. It was very nicely kind of character driven sci-fi thing, but I in no way kind of thought like, yeah, Bond. Alien, sure, and it's got loads of references to Alien, but or kind of Silent Running or something. It's like, yeah, okay, but I wasn't kind of like, I wasn't like, great movie. Because it was a miniseries.
Great movie. Well, because he didn't direct the first season of True Detective, which I still haven't seen.
Oh, did he? Right, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I can see why they wanted to, bring him into.
I mean, I'm all for, I much as I love my kind of traditional Bond stuff, I am all for people coming in and messing with it, as long as they do it in a clever way. I thought Casino Royale was a great way to mess with the formula, yet keep it very much on brand. And I think, Sam Mendes, I think, did a cracking job. He really, between Skyfall and Spectre, he created a very sort of new aesthetic for it. I think that has now sort of, it's aged well, but it hasn't aged terribly well. I do think, I think the problem we've got is we're still in a weird era, because it's like this is the longest time where we haven't changed actors. It just feels very strung out at this point. It's like, can we? And it's not their fault, because obviously it's
kind of the Tom Baker Doctor Who thing, in that like Tom Baker did a similar thing. He clung on to it for ages, but there were gaps and stuff, so ended up being Doctor Who forever. And like Craig is kind of like, because they've passed. It seems to me, as the outsider, it seems to me that Bond kind of, I'm not going to say it's lost its way, but doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. And it came out with Casino Royale with what I believe to be, not really watched it, but I've watched it once. What I believe people liked in it was a strong thing, and they took a strong line. They said, like, we're doing this again. It's a new thing. We've had 30, 40 years, but it's okay to do it fresh. And then kind of Quantum of Solace seemed a bit of a mess, and then they came out really strong with Skyfall, which, again, to my outsider mind, seemed to be doing what Casino Royale was supposed to have done. And then Spectre seemed a bit kind of empty to me, and I felt like Sam Mendes was just there because of, they paid him a bunch of money because he did such a good job on the last one, and he was kind of a bit perhaps worn down by it, didn't want to do it again. I don't know.
Spectre's just a bit rushed, I think. I think that's part of the problem. I think, you've got these two, I think Craig's films have sort of suffered with, and I think this is, you can kind of see the same pattern with a lot of the older ones as well. Is that sort of like, there's a tiny gap while you're trying to prep for a new actor to come in. You knock it out of the park with their first one, it's a big hit because it's a change up and it works really well, and everyone's happy. But then you're under pressure to follow that up very quickly. I mean, the thing with Quantum of Solace got hit with the writer's strike in the middle of it all, so they were kind of, and they had also sort of done the thing of jumping off with production but not having sort of had a script. So there's people, there's always people in to punch up the dialogue on set and that kind of thing, which means you don't really know what you're doing. But fair enough, and those people had to leave because of the writer's strike. So it ended up being sort of Mark Forster and Daniel Craig kind of doing dialogue, and it's like, it's nothing against that. And I think actually that film isn't as bad as people say it is. It's just, in the cold light of Casino Royale, it just doesn't hold a candle. But that's not their fault. I don't think it's a fine film. It's not great.
It was terrible. I just thought it was. I mean, if the word I'd use is empty, and it's on a number of levels because there's loads of bits where they're tearing through streets and there's no extras and stuff.
You mean Spectre? I'm talking about Quantum of Solace.
Oh, sorry. I'd always do that with Duncan. He talks about something else, and I just could talk about the last thing. It's like that Tim Riley sketch where he's one behind. Sorry. Quantum of Solace, I have not seen all of. I think
Okay.
once. But
The Spectre. I know what you mean about Spectre. I do like Spectre, but I absolutely take your point. I think it's a slightly vacant film. I think there's far too much. That's a perfect term for it. Is there's emptiness in it that I thinks is full of portent and weight and isn't, because you kind of go right, like I don't like, you spend ages watching a Rolls Royce Silver Wraith drive towards them in the desert,
yeah.
and then the guy gets out and goes, please, and then they get in and then they're just driving for ages, and it's like,
yeah, it has that kind of 2001: A Space Odyssey thing, and it's like, why? I don't know why. I mean, that's not appropriate.
It's 3 hours long, and then it all culminates in him shooting down a helicopter. The helicopter I was in once, over the Thames, with a pop gun, essentially, with a PPK. Like, he shoots down a helicopter with a PPK from miles away, and that's how we end it. And it's like a bit.
And they're picking that up, right? Because after they caught Blofeld, now he's in a Hannibal Lecter cage. And then he's going to go, oh, James, it was me all along. Oh, that's
May I have some of your delicious milk?
Milk. Yeah, that was kind of like, and they did that thing that everything loved to do at the time, where it's kind of like, oh no, he's not playing Blofeld, he's playing Hans Schmenkeldenkel, and it's like, well, it is, because it's the same thing they did with Star Trek Beyond, and there's something else.
Well, and that's why it's like, it's fool me twice, right? It's like fool me thrice now with Rami Malek. It's like, no, he's called Safin. He's not called Doctor No.
Professor, yes, he's not called Doctor No.
Yeah, I know. It's like, really.
Yeah, and it is that thing from Austin Powers 3 in a lot of ways. It's the kind of secret brother Doctor Evil thing.
Why they did see that coming, because a lot of, like Craig's made a lot of hay of talking about that in the press. It's like, oh, we wanted to do this, that, and the other, but Austin Powers kind of ruined it for us, so we couldn't do all the jokes. And it's like,
the jokes.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, but you also took something clearly from it,
and a really big thing as well. But they're kind of like, yeah, well, they're not biological brothers, and it's like, it's still the same thing, mate. I'm sorry, I don't know what. Okay, you didn't show them together at boarding school or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. It's fun. It felt like
I like that the Tiger helicopter has interior lighting.
Yes.
So he smashes his head on the console and it just turns the light on. It's like, oh, right, okay.
That's it.
There's a huge ejector next to his head, which is a bit like, really. This is a great set as well. There's a great shot here, like when they turn round, they do this like crazy racking. And you might be able to tell me actually like what sort of lens it is, because it looks there. Look.
Oh, what?
It's a bit weird.
Which bit on his eyes?
Yeah, when it goes in on his eyes.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it's got a kind of. I think it's something real. I think it's pushing in on an already quite long lens. I think, because it creates that slightly compressed background. It's such a quick shot. I sort of missed it, but it looks like they're, instead of like going in on a conventional zoom quite close, it looks like a telephoto that's gone. So you've got a kind of bit of background compression there. I don't know. I do like, this is a very Bond villain thing to do, is kind of going to put you in a helicopter and then have it shoot its own missiles at you, because your death has to be, you have to sample the irony of your death before you die and stuff.
Well, yes, but I think also as well, because plot wise, that he's trying to get rid of the evidence that he stole the helicopter, right?
Okay.
So in a way, it's kind of a neat way of tying it all up by putting him in there and blah blah blah. But obviously, it didn't work.
She it's a great him in the shin as she gets out.
Yeah. But again, establishing the great sort of relationship between them, and that she isn't, she just wants to get away. Like, she's distrusting of him. I think, yeah. No, I mean, I just think she's fantastic. I really do, and I think, yeah, she makes him work for it, which Sean Connery wouldn't have done. Roger.
No. Probably just slapped her because it's the 60s. So that's generally how that happened, wasn't it? Not in Bond. Yeah. I don't want to. Just, no, let's not go there.
Yeah, he does that women around, which is, and they got Roger doing it in things like Man with the Golden Gun, which I always thought was a bit.
Jesus.
He always said he hated doing that, and I think I agree. I don't think it was. I think it's necessary.
Sean turned up, rolling up his sleeves. He was ready.
Yeah. That's it. Get out of the way, Nancy boy.
I think Bond would take a run up. It's funny because he was a monster. No,
let me take my shoes and socks off. Extra purchase.
Can of Tenants for Sean. Archive, one of my favourite levels in the game. Multiplayer level.
Mm-hmm.
Just tiny. We will play the game, so I'm not going to keep going on about the fucking game. There's also, obviously you don't see 006 or you don't see Alex Trevelyan pretty much for an hour. That's his first scene, then he comes back. But also, as a kid, I never. If I watched this now, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course it's Sean Bean, I suppose, because why would you have a known actor and then not do? But as a kid or whatever, I didn't.
Well, but at the time as well, like Sean Bean wasn't a massive international name, was he?
To British audiences, I guess, and that's a small section of the. To Americans, I wouldn't think that would, even figure, would it? In those days, because he was just doing bloody sharp, you bastard, and.
Bastard. You got that supercut.
And he's also got the death supercut as well, including one where he gets trampled by. Sean Bean did an extended. Remember, old newspapers used to have those photo stories, the kind of tabloids about, like, I think my boyfriend's cheating on me or whatever. Viz used to do those fake ones of those, which were brilliant. And there was a really, really long one. And it's about a man who combs his hair differently, and it makes him look like Sean Bean. But the thing is, it actually was Sean Bean. So it was actually Sean Bean in Viz being photographed in this photo story. And then in the end, the real Sean Bean turns up, and it's just a guy who's had like a cardboard Sean Bean face stuck on, but he's standing next to the actual Sean Bean. It's one of my favourite things. Hilarious. Sean Bean doing Viz is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Viz is a long-running British humour magazine.
I just enjoy the bits you send me. That's what that's how I
random. So I follow some of the people, and I just send random bits to Duncan sometimes because. Anyway,
it's great. No, it's pretty. It's very much our sort of humour, I think.
Viz is very, very influential to me. Like Viz humour is it for me. But anyway, Mishkin, you schnook with your silly beard.
Well, he sort of. This is a really great tight scene because he kind of comes round on it at the end, doesn't he? He starts to believe Bond, and then it's just like too late.
Yeah, too bad. Too bad.
Yeah, he's got the weirdest goatee. He's got like a beard that's trying to be. Well, he's got a goatee that's desperate to be a beard. It's trying to make its way around his chin so he won't notice around his jaw.
He sort of looks like a Wish.com prototype for Tony Stark, doesn't he? It's kind of.
Well, he looks like a sort of low res. Lenin, like he's kind of like it's Lenin stretched polygonally over like
kind of Minecraft Lenin. I think we're back to pixelated people again, aren't we? Kind of strange.
He kind of looks like he was ahead of the curve because he was like, well, my character in the N64 game,
yes.
Like a picture stretched across a square. So if I just do that with my
odd beard, isn't it? I mean, I've always thought that, but it's seeing it again because it is like if you put loads of ink on your hand and just went, that would give you a Mishkin beard.
These two are great, and actually Godfrey John as well. I want to sort of talk about because I think he's a fantastic actor, and he was German or Austrian, I think.
His performance here particularly good, where he's figuring out the fake story as he goes. He's like, and you,
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Karen.
Shot, and it's just like himself shot while trying to escape, and the trouble is he throws him the gun, and he didn't take the one out of the chamber, did he? So technically, there's still a bullet in that. Yeah. So Bond should have shot him, but never mind. Yeah, no, I think he's great. He's also in Proof of Life with Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
And he's great in that. I think he plays unhinged really well. Like he doesn't know. He's just flicking the bullets out of the thing. He's a toned down Steven Berkoff in this, which I think is absolutely right. Because Steven Berkoff in Octopussy is fucking nuts. But it's like Orumov is kind of on that wavelength, like he's a similar sort of character, but he brings it back into reality. Which is
he's
great.
Definitely sort of like he seems to be some kind of. He's not overtly gleeful, but he definitely enjoys what he does and isn't a very nice guy. Because he's not kind of like Joker, like, but he's sort of
kind of unraveling here, and he starts drinking out of his hip flask and stuff, doesn't he? Because he realizes like it's all going to shit, and like he's been rumbled obviously by the state, which is not what you want when you're a kami.
You're kami.
But I love all this. And see, the score is something we haven't really spoken about. But it gets so.
Who scored?
I always say this. Well, so now. I always thought this film would be perfect if David Arnold had scored this, because his first one was Tomorrow Never Dies, and I think that's a perfect score. If he'd scored this, it would have been the best, like 100. You could not have argued with anyone that this is the greatest Bond film. I do think it's the score that lets it down, and it's Luc Besson's guy. What's his name? Who did The Fifth Element? Someone will say it. I can't remember.
See why you would do that in 1995.
Yeah, and it's just it doesn't work. There's moments you can see where they've gone put traditional Bond music in it and it works, but there's this all the beep bop bop beep beep bop bop bop. Eric Serra, thank you, Callum. Yes, it's just doesn't work.
Okay.
It's all and it's a shame because I think that it stands out more because it's against this film. I think if it was against a weaker film, it wouldn't be. But I just think it's the weaker part of the film. It's not terrible, but it just doesn't. It stands out. It just feels
just not
weird.
The appropriate kind of sound.
When you look at what David Arnold's approach was very much to play in the sort of John Barry pool. Very much brass, very bombastic-y Bond, but like with a modern edge. But it felt slick. It felt rhythmic. It felt like part of the. It felt like a cohesive part of the film, rather than fighting, basically. Because I just think Sarah's score
fighting around the world.
Yeah. Come on, Tiger. Score a Bond film. Now this is a great shot here.
Does he do like doesn't he adjust his tie or something in the tank?
But I love that shot of the car doing a slide is like literally two different locations. I'm pretty sure that it coming towards camera and starting the handbrake turn is in St. Petersburg, and then as it pulls in front of the wall, that's somewhere else. Well, they might have built the wall on location. I'm not sure, but basically, yeah, they had to just run the tank at a wall and smash it through a wall.
Cool.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, because it was really cleverly done. All this stuff. Because it's seamless the way it cuts between actual St. Petersburg and.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and I never would have guessed that. I never would have guessed that. I just assumed it was some kind of location, right? But then there's lots of destroying of things. I do love Pierce in the tank. It looks so fucking cool, man.
It's such a great thing to go for, and I think they did it well in Tomorrow Never Dies as well with the BMW car chase and everything in the car park. It's smaller scale, but it still has that really big feel to it. But this, Bond chasing someone in a tank, it's ridiculous because it just wouldn't work like that. But that doesn't, again, it's just. I think.
But you're allowed. Yeah, you can be silly in a Bond, but I don't expect pure realism. But it's like, if he went into like, if he got downloaded into the internet, I'd have a problem. But if he's skidding a tank around, it's like, that's fine. No.
Well, juxtapose this with Daniel Craig chasing a bunch of Range Rovers in a plane.
Right.
Inspector, like, and then he starts crashing it and the wings break off and then he's chasing it on the ground in a plane.
Which is a bit like the bloody The World Is Not Enough driving the speedboat across the pavement in London. Like,
oh, yes, sorry, yes, beg your pardon. Yeah, no, exactly. It's just like, right. See what I mean though? But that's my point. Is it's kind of like this is ludicrous, but you haven't set it against the backdrop of everything is serious and really important. And it's like that, which is what Spectre. You're asking me to take it really seriously, and then you're going to do things like he and Blofeld are half brothers, and he chased the bad guys in a plane. You can't have your cake and eat it. Right. I think is the thing. I still like Spectre. I don't want to do that film down too much because I do like it, but I do think that's where it starts to go awry. And it's not their fault. It's just one of those things where they went, they I suppose painted themselves into a corner by leaning into certain things more heavily. But but I do like it at the same time. I just think it's I don't know. I think this works a lot better.
Yeah, there's a lot. I just a bit of tank trivia from Stephen Allen. There's an episode in Series 7 of Red Dwarf, the dreadful Series 7 of Red Dwarf, where Crichton drives a tank, and Steve's saying it's the same tank.
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess because I know Red Dwarf used to shoot at Shepperton, because I saw a taping of the awful Series 8 of Red Dwarf, not the awful Series 7 because they weren't able to do audiences for Series 7. It was all shot multi-camera. I lost my virginity quite late. That's the tank from Red Dwarf, apparently.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, well, because like I say, that the helicopter that I did the Jaguar ad with, I was doubling Tom Hiddleston. That exact helicopter is the one Blofeld's in at the end of Spectre because it's got the same tail number and.
You can look them up. There's an Internet Aircraft database or something. So I've done that with aircraft before. Which I've done the same thing, but
no. I was like, of course, it's like there's a gun database and a car database.
James Action is asking. I was in the audience with my mum and my brother for the episode Cassandra in Series 8. So there you go.
Oh wow!
You can hear my laugh. You can't at all. But when I was a kid and when they broadcast it, I was convinced myself you could hear me laughing, which you cannot. That's insane. I mean, technically you can. It's part of a group of people, I suppose. But,
isn't there a thing where there's an episode of Friends where you can hear Philip Schofield laughing in the background? Because he went to one of because that obviously had a live audience. But he was like, and they played it on this because David Schwimmer was on This Morning or whatever show it is he does, and they played it, and you can. It's real Skyfall.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I know. Well, Andy Peters is in Toy Story 2.
Yes.
That's a weird little thing. Yeah. What was the deal? Is there any kind of would you like to share the story of how you got onto Skyfall, or is it you not that interested to tell us, or are you?
No, I mean it wasn't.
I think people would like to hear. I mean, I guess your agent got you into Skyfall, but I'm sure it's more interesting than that. If you
Well, it wasn't actually through my agent. It was through a I had done Snow White and the Huntsman, and because we were kind of part of their stunt team. There was bleed over into Skyfall, and it was literally Snow White was finishing up at the time that Skyfall was starting. So at one point I was kind of running between the two, but they basically hooked me up with. It wasn't Debbie McWilliams, it wasn't the casting director, but it was like her casting department, and I kind of got to go in and kind of get in via that. And then they just needed. I mean, again, it was that kind of thing. It's like it's not an extra technically, but it's like a walk on that they wanted for it, and they just needed someone basically who wasn't going to shit themselves and fall over on camera. So,
which you barely do at all. I've worked with you.
Which
rarely, 1 in 10 times most.
The most shitting myself I suppose I ever felt was on Edge of Tomorrow, when I had like Brendan Gleeson and Tom Cruise and Jean-Marie Baptiste and people like massive actors there. And I was having to deliver dialogue to them, and I wasn't expecting that morning because I didn't think I was there for that, and it was weird. Anyway, but So Skyfall, I had to basically go over. I went over and auditioned for the casting department I don't know.
Was that in London somewhere you went to? Or?
No, it was at Pinewood. It was when I was doing. Yeah, I think it was while I was doing Snow White. I think I was there. Anyway, because I don't remember having to go there especially for it. And it was great, and they were really great, and they were like, yeah, come back, because I think Fraser, who was the second AD or one of the ADs on Snow White, knew the people on Bond. Anyway, everyone sort of knew because it's Pinewood. There's a lot of the same people used on stuff. So yeah, they said, yeah, come and do it. So I was 5 days basically doing background work, but then with the idea that I was then going to be on camera for this one thing, and then I'm not, because it's still cut out of the film.
Well, but you were on set you can stuff, weren't you? And
yeah, you can see me in a big wide shot at one point, and that's fine. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. You were there. You got to.
I was. Yeah.
You are in it. Like that's cool. I mean, to me that would be the Judge Dredd movie or something, wouldn't it? That would be my one.
Yeah.
I would have, because I'm not an actor. I'd happily be in the background scratching my ass in that. Like. Yeah.
I would love to be in a Judge Dredd film, man. If they ever made a really decent, true to the comics, like super crazy, proper Judge Dredd film. I think if they did that, I think they would have a massive hit on their hands. By the way, and I still think if they do the mini series or the series or whatever, it will have legs.
Yeah, the pilot for that's written by Rob Williams, who is the best modern Dredd writer in my esteems, and I think if they go ahead with that, it'd be fucking awesome. Whether they will or not, I don't know. It's a different story.
Yeah, for sure.
I just want to say, I love that Trevelyan lives on a train. That's a really cool, because it's not totally bonkers. It's not like a hot air balloon. It feels Bondy, but kind of grounded, but still kind of crazy that he,
I mean, it sort of doesn't make any sense if you think about it, because it's like, how are you going to escape anything?
By rail!
On a fixed track. But I think the point is he's on ex-Soviet Union tracks. When you think about it, there's probably tons of ex-military tracks.
Yeah, he's probably got kind of, and it's the time of arch corruption in Russia, so he's just buying everybody off and stuff. But the solution is just to park a tank in front. Old Magic says, who would direct a super crazy authentic Judge Dredd film? I would. Oh, Sam, bless him. He knows how predictable I am.
Couple things. This again comes into the whole thing of trying to save the girl by crashing the vehicle she's currently being kidnapped in. Secondly, and also shooting a tank at it, lest we forget. What was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say something. Fuck's sake. Oh, so the train level of the game, right? Do you remember playing that?
Of course. It's one of my faves.
Yeah, me too. So, but I once got in. So I got to the end carriage was they would always escape out the back and you couldn't get them. before they did. I managed to somehow get past all the doors before they shut off, so you could get through into the back of the level. And me and my mate Owen, because we were totally cool and not losers at all, took pictures of it and pictures of me next to it, like with my thumbs up.
mate, the most receptive of receptive people right now. Don't worry. Another person who broke Goldeneye. Mad respect. That's all I'm saying. Don't worry. Yeah. We're all friends here.
Get like 2 different guns up, because you weren't supposed to be able to get to dual wield 2 different guns, but you could do it if you
held because if you held the weapon change and then press fire, it cycles backwards. You could do it so you mix and match. So you
could confuse it basically to like get out of sync, and then you could have 2 different things, even to the point where you could have the laser watch and another gun, so you had 3 hands effectively. But yeah, no, it was.
Well, just quickly on that note, fucking Uramov, the most bulletproof cunt in the world, because I had it down pat. Like you can blow up the gas bottles, not hurt Alec, and get out. And in the game, as far as I'm concerned, he chooses to die because he could just follow behind you. So if you walk off, anyway, anytime before, I guess he dies in the game. I can't remember. Like in the first level and in the silo level, you can just shoot Uramov endlessly. And he won't die, the bastard. So when he comes into the bottling room, you could just shoot him. The worst one is in a silo, because if you catch up with him, you could just be emptying fucking KF-7 Soviet into him, just bouncing off him, and it wouldn't be so bad. But he can shoot you back, the bastard. So you can sort of get close to him. That's what I've been reliving this week, playing the Goldeneye game that we're getting on later. Was just shooting Uramov and sort of hoping that the world would change and he would die, which I know isn't going to happen because he can't die till the train.
Yes. Yeah. This is his laser watch bit, which you kind of had to do in the game, didn't you, to like laser the floor? Yeah. But the floor was like held on with a bunch of staples.
The big metal. Well, I quite like, because it's like the when you go down to the 7-hour bunker first time, there's just 4 chunky padlocks that you have to go dink, dink, dink.
That's right. I love this film. I do think it is. I think it's. Again, there's a sort of objectively great Bond films, and then there's the ones that are your favourite, and I don't think anyone has a right to sort of tell you whether or not you should or shouldn't like any film, but certainly a Bond film. I think I love this bit. It's like, what else do you call your bottom? What? That's his best, Jason Statham.
Okay. What?
What?
Yeah, Megalodon. I can't imagine Pierce Brosnan Bond saying arse. I just can't.
Which is chair, I know, but that's the sort of chair that works
because he's clever. You see?
There you go. I love that as well, though, because it was the clue. Like you
sit on it, but you can't take it away.
Can't take it with.
Yeah,
and it's like, what else? Bottom. I love that. She's so good. This is what I mean. Like, she sells that gag, though.
She's does all the kind of horror earlier. All the kind of horror of having all your friends killed, she really sells. But then she does all the humour really brilliantly as well. She's a very reactive actor, but not overacting. Like, she's great kind of like micro expressions and stuff in her face when stuff goes down.
Fucking good, man. I wish she did more. I mean, I think she's Polish. So I think she's done a lot more Polish stuff.
Okay, so she is Eastern European.
Yes, yeah. So Skorupko is a.
It's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Quick video game question for Cut to Meets Adventures. Richard, any thoughts on Pedro Pascal being cast in The Last of Us? I really liked the first Last of Us. I haven't played the second one. I'm not bothered about them doing a TV show, man. I'm sorry. Pedro Pascal is great, but I don't. In essence, as a story, it's yet another zombie thing. Duncan, your window just shrunk. You've turned into a little postage stamp. I think that what happens is when it's gone back up again. I think the resolution changes when my bandwidth starts to suck. Bandwidth, which is like a sandwich. I'll make you big again.
Bandaswitch.
My bandaswitch. I've embiggened you again.
Very good, thank you. How cromulent of you.
Most welcome. We really know what we like, don't we? That's what you can say about us. I think now you've gone big again. There's no opposite word to embiggen, just and littles. I don't know.
And Smallland, and I don't know.
I must be able to lock that. Fuck you, NDI sources. Anyway, OBS is fun.
So I love this stuff. It's like here's as much as you get out of the Z3, which is it drives down, or the Z3, if you remember, just drives down a road.
Now, Bond, if you press this dial on the dashboard, it plays music from.
Well, it's like, always loved the idea that like he gave him like, but this is the only time where he gave him a cue car, and he didn't use it. Like he used none of the gadgets in it. But yeah, because doesn't he? What's the world is not enough of the Z8? He goes like 6 beverage cup holders. It's like. What's 6? It's a 2.
That's very American. Like it'd have a big
3 per person.
James Bond has 6 bottles of champagne because he's posh.
Yeah,
6 different vintages of champagne that he has, I guess.
Yeah.
And Jack...
I've always I do like that that they've kind of gone more with the Craig stuff into like he's a rough diamond in that he's not like all the posh stuff and all the fancy pants stuff is always just sort of. He's into it only because, I mean, because I get it in the book, the reason why he sort of drinks the finest champagne and eats the finest restaurants is not because he's like a snob. I mean, I think he is outwardly, but the only reason he does it is because he doesn't expect to live long. So he doesn't save money or anything. He just, and I think he has inherited some money, but at the same time, you know, he's a career gambler. Like his wage is a pittance, but he just, you know, he spends all his money on just frivolity because he thinks he's going to die, basically.
I've never read a Bond book, but they sound like it goes to some really dark places and is quite a kind of portrait of a really dark person. So I suppose, you know, at its root is kind of a state-sponsored killer, you know, and that in itself is not the best fun in the world. Well, you know, unless you're a sociopath, I suppose, in which case it is very fun.
Well, I am.
So. Oh yes, good. No, very good. He's not. He's a massive. He's soft as shit. I know him. He's not a sociopath. We both are. It's the same. Yeah. No. I've never read the books particularly. Well, I say particularly, by which I mean at all, or even picked one up. I don't know why I said particularly.
I've never done what you could call reading.
Oh crumbs. Yeah. No. No. Because this is the one that doesn't. I've said my frustration with Bond before, and it doesn't give me any of the kind of frustrations I have with other Bond films. I do find sometimes I just get bored of them in certain places because I feel like what I have a term that I don't know if I've probably used it on the show, but I have a term which is James Bond goes on holiday, and this scene is a little bit James Bond goes on holiday, but it's not that protracted. But when James Bond movies start to look like a travel show. And I mean that because of, you know, and we're talking about like Roger Deakins doing that. I'm not dissing the quality of cinematography, but when it's just a montage of local attractions and stuff, it's kind of like, what am I watching here? And something in my brain turns off because I know it's supposed to be, you know, very exotic and exciting and stuff. But...
Yeah, I think the older ones did that because they were a travelogue essentially. Because I mean, bearing in mind it was back at a time when people didn't travel to those sort of far-flung places very much, and so. That was part of the appeal, was the exoticness of it. But no, I take your point. I mean, there are elements of the like the Sean films that are dull. I find Goldfinger quite boring in a lot of places. I'm sorry, I know it's the sort of gold standard.
The sacred cow, isn't it? Yeah, sorry, the gold standard.
It's supposedly, yeah. I mean, it is supposed to be, but I just don't. You know, because all the things that people reference from it, like the ejector seat car and the opening with him getting out of the wetsuit, so those are moments, but they're not the whole film. And the film does like the stud farm and stuff goes on, and it's like there's and Thunderball I think do suffer quite a lot from sort of just protracted, boring, like you know, things that needed
Kid in Goldfinger.
No, that's Diamonds Are Forever. Right, that's a horrible piece of shit.
Really, really, like that's you just do not like that film.
No, it's probably my least favourite Bond film to watch. Right, actually.
Right, wow,
I mean,
interesting.
It gets no love from me.
I'm interested.
I just don't. There's nothing in it that I find in any way. It's real high camp. I mean, Roger Moore gets beaten with the camp stick, right? But he's sort of Sean Connery's whipping boy. Because I'm sorry, you did that, Sean Connery. Diamonds Are Forever is the most ridiculous film. You know, compared with what came before it. It's so weird as well as a sort of return to form after, you know, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And I just think, what is this? It's so bad. Like, it is really bad. Sean Connery couldn't give two shit. It was a big middle finger to Cubby Broccoli, I think, to come back and take a load of money and say, you can't do this without me. And it just doesn't. I don't get on with that film at all. I really don't get on with that film.
You're getting some confirmation in the chat. Diamonds is garbage with those two weirdos. I see Mr. Winter, Mr. Kid.
I love it. Well, no, Mr. Winter, Mr. Kid are fine. I mean, you know,
that's a thing I like. That's a thing I know and I like, and it came up in college. Mr. Winter, Mr. Kid. I can't remember what because again, it wasn't something I was particularly interested in studying. But and there's a weird little, because they referenced that in the League of Gentlemen, addressing each other as Mr. X and Mr. Y and so forth.
Right.
Which seemed like a cool thing, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean they're fine. I mean, again, it's weird in the sense of not because they're gay, but because it's just weird. It's like no, there's like what. That's your hired kid. Like Blofeld, the greatest mastermind, the criminal mastermind in the world, hired them to sort of go around and pull ruses on dentists.
That's the big racket, the dental racket.
Oh, he's got a bad tooth. Can you look? He's like, okay, and then he drops a scorpion down his neck, and that kills him instantly. And it's like, they're not world-class assassins, but I mean, and I think the film really gets confused about what being gay is at times. Like, it seems to pull this thing of like, you just like bum stuff, and it's like that's not what that is. But I know, and it's just, again, I won't call it homophobic. I don't necessarily think it is, but I just think, I just find a lot of that stuff really like just tedious. I mean, it's like what is this in aid of? Him escaping in that moon buggy looks ridiculous. It looks like he got inside Johnny Five's scrotum and made a runner.
I'd watch that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah. I know. I'm inside your nuts.
I love that you do it as old Sean as well.
Yeah. It's just
it is funny. Old Sean is funnier, and it creates that strange disconnect of young Sean with that voice coming out of it. Which is great.
It's the sort of from Russia with
the game.
I think.
Did you play the game?
What I'm going for. No.
So it looked all right. I was really when that came out, I was really fascinated by it because Bond games have been a mixed bag and there's been a bunch of good ones, but like it just felt like they never would tempt Sean Connery back for anything. And I suppose it was kind of like, look, Sean, you just have to come and sit in a booth for a week or two, and we'll give you shit. I assume they parked a ton of money on him. Did it? It seemed like an unlikely thing to happen. Is what I'm fumbling for.
Yeah, I mean, especially since he talks about it, or seems to talk about it with such contempt at times, or did anyway. I mean, I know he really didn't come You Only Live Twice, he was fucking done. Like, he'd had enough, because it was like he wasn't getting any more money, and the Japanese press were relentless to the point where they were like trying to get in there. He was in the toilet, and they were sticking cameras over the top of the toilet.
Dude, that's
come on, great dishonor.
So, great dishonor.
I won't do the voice, but yeah, I'm really not a fan of Diamonds Are Forever. I don't know why we're talking about that. I can't remember.
No, because we were on that general topic. You just mentioned because I've never really dug down into Bond with you in any kind of meaningful way. I think we always end up talking about like why I don't like it and you do, and then we have the same conversations about say fucking Star Trek or some of my shit, and then we talk about bums and poo usually. I was just interested to see what your thoughts were. To me, those kind of 60s Bond films, and I completely acknowledge how important they are, of course. And a lot of the staging and everything, it puts me in the mind of a stuffy Sunday afternoon, and there's this film on that seems to just be endless. That's how I think about Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever. It's like this endless film that seems like it's 4 hours long, and like I'd rather be outside. You know what I mean? It puts me in a weird landscape.
Part of the problem is they're always on ITV, so they've got ad breaks, right. So they just don't stop.
And they have a death grip, don't they? They have the Bond death grip.
Yeah, they really do in this country, which is really annoying because it's like I know in the States they've got, I think it's on Prime or something, they've got all the Bond films. And it's like, we don't have them. We've never had them on a streaming service because the fuckers at ITV. And they put them on so sporadically as well. It's like, it'd be one thing if you always played them.
Do they go on ITV streaming service, which I assume exists? Because like the BBC gets proper movies, doesn't it? When you go on iPlayer, whatever they've had on is on iPlayer for.
I don't think so, because I think they've just had some deal where they're able to keep renewing the license for broadcast TV, which keeps it off other platforms. But I think that predates any streaming agreement, so they're probably stuck in a loop of like, well, if they want to put it on the streaming service, Eon or MGM will have them over a barrel,
right? Okay.
And they can then lose the. It's probably one of those deals where it's like if they want to keep it for TV, they have to keep renewing it on the same terms. But it's just like, fuck off! Can you please put it on like if they put it on Netflix or wherever? It's like. Because again, if like a lot of the thing with No Time to Die is, it's like, you know, the streaming service is trying to get it and stuff like that, and it's kind of, you know,
it's whatever. It's the confusing modern landscape, isn't it? Oh, the dish collapsed recently, didn't it? The dish is dead. The dish died, which is
the dish is no more. Yeah, what is it? It's called. It's the thingy observatory. What is
I
it?
don't know. I should know. I like space things. I should know.
It's I looked into it because it was it was a really sad day because it by all accounts it only collapsed because they just stopped spending any money on it.
Yes, it was kind of they looked at it, said it's beyond help, and then a week later it collapsed. That was
it's really sad though because like one side just sort of let go and the whole thing swung into the side of the.
Must be pretty crazy. I didn't watch the video. I didn't know there was a video. I saw the aftermath. I saw the pictures of it and things.
Yeah, no, there's a video. There's literally a video because they knew when it was going to happen. There's like drone footage and there's a video of the cable just going and letting go. And
that's
like the whole
pretty spectacular though.
Yeah,
I like this because this is very Bondy, but it's not insane. It's not like a big skull mountain. It's a dish. Then the water comes out. It's really cool.
Well, it's in Cuba, so obviously Soviet, Cuban Missile Crisis type stuff. It's a Soviet weapon, right? The Goldeneye is a Soviet weapon. It's their secret one that's hidden in Cuba. So you can see it as being like, oh, actually the Soviet Union built this. Trevelyan's just nicked it. So it's not even, it's not even a baddie base in the sense of he didn't build this, because that's always been the ludicrous thing. It's like, how the fuck did you build this without anyone knowing? The Soviets built it, and now he's just repurposed it.
The real one was in Panama? Was it, or was it Central America in actuality, the real location?
It's it's the Arecibo Observatory. That's right, Chris Thompson. Thank you very much.
Oh, there you go.
It is in
Puerto Rico.
Brazil.
Says Chris.
Puerto Rico. There you go. Yeah.
There you go. No, okay. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's a cool, crazy thing, and of course we all remember the level which takes place there at the end of the game. But yeah, I was cool. as speaking as a nerd, the internet and computery stuff. From what I remember, and having dipped into the soundtrack earlier, the internet and computery stuff is pretty good in this, actually, and is fairly authentic because it's not one of those, we have to download the megabytes movies. It's pretty good, actually.
It doesn't. His plan doesn't really hold together when you think about it.
Oh God,
his plan is
no, absolutely not.
is to sort of basically break into the Bank of England and steal money electronically. Then use the Goldeneye on London to wipe any trace of it, but it will apparently wipe every single bank record ever. And it's like, so how much money is your pounds going to be worth then? Yeah, if you destroy the economy on which they are based.
And in 1995, really quite a lot was still on paper. But I suppose it's 5 minutes in the future, isn't it?
It wasn't at the gold standard at that point. You can see the little trolley that he's sliding on there.
Right. Okay.
Which is not great.
But the minutiae of it, quite often the terminology they use and the things you see on screens is pretty authentic. Not the crazy EMP satellite. The other thing people don't seem to understand about movies in particular, don't seem to understand about EMP is that EMP will turn your computer off for a bit. No, EMP fries everything and it's broken and can't be used again. You don't just sort of wait a little bit and turn it on. It fuses chips and stuff. It's not.
In fairness to them, in this though, I don't think.
No, not in this. Not in this. It's just nearly. I think Ocean's 11 does it, but Ocean's 11 is basically a cartoon, so they get the pass. But there's loads of films where they let off the EMP, and then 10 minutes later, all the lights come back on. They go, "Oh, that was weird." It's not.
Dark Knight Rises does that, doesn't he? Is the EMP gun and the little EMP blipper that he uses to kill everyone's camera, and it's like, you just cost them thousands of pounds.
You just bank on everyone.
That's their livelihood. I know they're paps, but come on. This is a great set.
I know they're paps. I shoot on film, so I'm not affected. You're a cunt then. That's right. Yeah, fuck you, analog artists. Fuck you.
Yeah. How's your flash doing, you prick?
And then just shove him. You prick.
Yeah. They're only paps.
The mines are chonky. So again, something the game got really well, but it's that's a big. It looks kind of like a 90s router.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I like Jungle Adventure Bond. Looks cool. I love the.
He does look cool. I love the energy of that, where it's like the gun goes and they go boom. Martin Campbell really put a frenetic, to all the kind of procedural stuff. There's the whole, anytime he's goes to a wall, or there's always, it's a lot of glunk 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 glunk. There's a rhythm to it all.
Is the word I would
very
use.
much, yeah.
It's really, very much. The editing of this is really great. This set, I guess it must be a set that's fucking awesome, and it's good. It's because it's the first kind of internet age Bond. It's an internet age Bond villain lair, but as you say, he didn't build it, so it's plausible. It's still silly, but it's not speaking of silly. When I was a kid, because like I said, like the Connery ones in particular, it's kind of a stuffy living room somewhere, and maybe someone was smoking because it was the 80s and you're a kid and it's gross, and that's my what I associate being in a relative's house watching the Connery ones. I really loved Roger Moore when I was a kid because I guess because they were silly or whatever it was, and I was 8. But they also kind of violent because like, is it Katanga that gets blown up with the elephant gun and it explodes and stuff?
Yeah, well, so it's a shark gun.
Shark gun, right? And things like that. Because I was a kid, so like him dressing up as a clown and everything, I wasn't bothered by because I was.
Well, that's